So a great way to welcome in episode 2 of Fully Unscripted. As always, I'm Cash Daniel, Todd Lanner, and today we have a few guests for us. We got our buddies Zach and Parker sitting in for us, giving us some things that we don't talk about, maybe things that we miss, some stats, different things like that, and should have a hell of a show for you guys. So we're actually going to break down some takeaway games from Week 3 of the NFL. We'll break down some college football Week 4. We'll actually recap the, I would say, pretty ugly win for the Cats against Northern Illinois, but hey, a win's a win. Then we'll have an interview with former Pittsburgh Steeler Devlin Hodges. Hell of a dude, likes to hunt and fish, my kind of guy. So it should be a hell of an episode there, or should be a hell of an interview there. Then we'll get into, we'll preview Kentucky and Ole Miss. Chris Rodriguez is back this week, thank God, even though that our offensive line can still not find a way to create running lanes for Kavassi, Smoke, and our other backs. But hopefully with the addition of Chris Rodriguez in the backfield, hopefully things will start to turn around for our run game. And then we'll break down some NFL Week 4 picks, and then break down some then we'll break down some college football Week 5 picks as well. So we have a lot to talk about today. Let's get into it. And the worst podcast you have ever listened to begins right now. What's going on, guys? How we feeling?
Feeling good. Feeling good.
No?
No.
All right.
No.
Well, I mean, you're probably still grooving off that fresh shave coming off here. I don't
Appreciate
know exactly
that.
why you're fresh shave.
I had to bust the razor back out. My clippers didn't even do it. I had to use a straight razor.
Old school.
I know.
But let's go ahead and get down into it. One of the first things I want to talk about is the NFL finally came to a conclusion. They made a decision, say, hey, you know what? We understand that the Pro Bowl is not the Pro Bowl that it was, so we're just going to finally get away with the game. Get rid of it. We'll have the NFL Pro Bowl games, kind of like what they have leading up to the week of the game. Different
skills
competitions.
Mm-hmm.
And they even said they're going to have an NFL flag football game, which is essentially kind of what the NFL is turning into, considering that or football in general. Considering as a defensive guy talking, you can't even put your hands on people no more. So I would say that we're actually getting a foreshadow of what the future of football maybe looks like. Because I called it like 3-4 years ago. They're like moving forward with all these targeting calls and things like that, which we'll get into. Some concussion talk is here as well, especially with Tua going down yesterday. That was really fucking scary. But it just sort of turned into a two-hand touch game, and I was like, hell, you might as well make it a flag football game. So we'll see how that works
Speaking
out.
of two-hand touch, how about what happened to the what would you have done if you were that Florida State player that got two-hand touch? Was it Florida?
No, it's not Florida. You're already ruining the episode.
Who was it?
You're already jumping in.
Who was it?
You're already jumping in like
Who was
5
it?
topics ahead.
It's not on the list.
It's actually right there on the list.
Where?
You look at the list, go down, right under college football Week 4 breakdown. So, see, this is what we deal with on a weekly
All right,
basis.
you can cut that, but go ahead. Go ahead.
He's taking the name Unscripted seriously.
I am.
Really,
I am. You
taking it for
scripted
real.
this part, and I'm not following that.
Unscripted.
But yeah, so thoughts of the NFL finally getting rid of the Pro Bowl. Todd, we'll start with you, and then we'll make our trips around.
So I went to my first Pro Bowl last year, kind of on accident. I got stuck in Vegas because of flight delays because the pilot situation sucked with American Airlines last year. So I ended up stuck in Vegas over Pro Bowl weekend, and it kind of sucked. Like, it was dead. The dude, I mean, the guys are there because they have to be, but they're having fun with each other. They don't care about the game and all that. The skills competition, I think, will make it a lot better, just more of an event. Like the NBA All-Star Weekend is a blast if you ever go to that. It's just a very inclusive thing. There's events going on the whole time. There's dinners and parties and all that stuff. The Pro Bowl's not been that way, at least in my experience from what I've seen and heard. So I think it's been a long time overdue. It's not something anybody really had taken seriously, so it might as well be a fun event, and I'm glad they're doing it.
Zach, what do you got to say about it?
I agree with Todd. I think that the game, just nobody wants to get hurt, first off, right? Too much money on the line, too much of the season for next year. And the skills competition, nobody wants to look bad, right? At the end of the day, if you're a quarterback, you want to hit your targets, things like that. It's what I've been interested in the past few years, more so than the game. So I'm happy they did it.
I'm sort of on the same thing. Only thing I wish they would change is the timing of it, because it's the week before the Super Bowl, so you don't get to see some of the top players, because it's sort of the same with the NBA, how they have theirs structured. But I feel like with the NBA, you get to see a little more star power, because past Pro Bowls, your stars are in it, I feel as if.
So that's for me, like when I was a kid looking forward to watching the Pro Bowl, because like literally every best player in the league is playing in that game. So like you literally get to see like the Justice League of NFL football players. And so But like the days of Sean Taylor coming down on a fake punt and absolutely fucking destroying a punter, those days are over with. And like Zach said, guys are out there not to get hurt. I mean, there's so much money on the line these days. I mean, you look back comparing the money from then to now. I mean, you got a guy like Lamar Jackson, who we'll talk about here in just a second, who should be getting paid well over $200 million. And, you got a guy like Deshaun Watson, who's already signed a guaranteed over $200 million contract. And so you kind of look back and forth of, okay, what was money then? What is money now? You see of how big the NFL has actually got, expanding to different countries, different things like that, getting into different networks, getting into different cultures. And so I think it's kind of like, seeing how the NFL's expanded, it's kind of like what the NBA did back in like the 90s and stuff, with how, the Dream Team, when they went over in Europe and they played in the Olympic Games. And so everybody got introduced to Michael Jordan. Everybody got introduced to, Scottie Pippen and all those great guys. I'm not a basketball guy, so I'm not going to sit here and, spew off names, but I know the guys that were on that Dream Team. Like Magic Johnson, those guys like that. And so I think it's awesome that the NFL is actually expanding the way it is. And I think, first of all, you have to take away the Pro Bowl game in itself, just because you turn it on, it might as well be a flag football game. Literally might as well be a two-hand touch game. They're losing viewers. And if anybody knows anything about the NFL, it is the most ruthless business out there in the world. And so the only thing they care about is that viewership money, every bit of that coming into them. And so I think it'd make it a lot more fun for the players too, just to know that, hey, this is kind of like a celebration of the season. They even added an extra game. And so, I was talking to Jamin Davis earlier and just asking him, how he's doing and how he's doing physically and mentally, just because, I personally don't know it, but I know of my former teammates talking about how big of a grind an NFL season is, both physically and mentally on you. And so I would say adding another game like that, going up against all pros from across every division in the NFL, they're probably sitting there going like, you know what, man, I've already killed myself for these past, 17 weeks in the regular season, plus, 4 weeks in training camp, plus mini camp, plus all that other stuff. I'm good. So I don't have a problem with it, because at the end of the day, you're taking away something that that a lot of people just didn't have, set in their sights for, hey, Pro Bowl, let's fucking get it.
When's the last time you watched it?
Yeah.
I watched it last year.
Did you really?
Yeah, I watched it last year. But
I was there and didn't watch it.
Really?
Yeah.
But kind of like the that ugly ass punt fest in Denver last night. I turned it off, halfway through the second quarter. So that's actually how we'll break down into that. So last night,
the greatest transition in the history of podcasts, right there. That was the greatest transition in the history of podcasts,
can you
right there.
talk
Take it
there,
away,
Sylvester Stallone?
Take it away, sweetheart. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, but like I said last night, one of the worst, ugliest games I've ever seen as far as a professional football standpoint goes. You had a final score of 11-10. That's kind of like an NL West All-Star game final right there, if you will. But straight up punt fest, and it seems like that the Monstars from Space Jam, for people that don't know the movie, has come in and somehow sucked all the powers and athleticism out of Russell Wilson. It seems like as soon as he's left Seattle, it seems like nothing's gotten cooking over in Denver. And so I don't know if that's a personnel issue. I don't know if that's an issue with him. The guy's practicing high fives coming out of the locker room and different things like that.
Standing in the middle of the field, soaking in the sun. I was like,
ugh. But you know what? They'll find a way to win. It's the NFL. They're going to put guys in position to go out there and make plays. Maybe not this year, but
especially
we'll
with
see
that
what
contract you just signed.
Yeah. You've got to find a way to win.
400 million?
It's something like that. It's 200 something guaranteed.
Something astronomical. But when the Waltons buy something, they're gonna throw the money at you.
Yeah, when you got the most money, it's almost like Saudi money those people have. So they're going to find a way to get the best players there.
$245 million over 5 years, 165 guaranteed.
Yeah.
Wow, that's still a lot of fucking money. But it seems like the real winner here, even though they lost the game, still Jimmy G still got paid $250K last night.
Yeah.
Talk about contracts.
Have you
And
all
ran
seen
straight
his
out the back of
contract?
the end zone with it.
Hey, he's got to lift the pressure off old Dan Orlovsky's shoulders there for doing that back in Detroit. I know that
they didn't even bring that up on First Take this morning. I watched all of First
He brought it up
Take.
on every other spot.
Yeah, he was his tweet last night was like, "Thank God,
he
got
said
lifted
freedom.
Just because I watched First Take this morning just for that reason, and I was waiting on Stephen A. to say something crazy about him.
We addressed his contract last week. Don Yee, and Carter Chow, his agents, deserve a absolute bump in pay. They got him $250,000 for every game he plays 25% or more of the downs, and $100,000 for a win.
$100,000 for a win.
So he got, on top of his guaranteed money, on top of his contract, another $250,000 last night just for playing 25 snaps or 20, more than 25% of the downs.
You never
That's
want somebody to
unbelievable.
get hurt, but for him, you couldn't ask for a better thing.
Yeah,
to happen. I mean, he's in such a good position to go into free agency now.
Yeah, and Joe Flacco, we talked about him as well. You know, Super Bowl winning quarterback that was playing a backup role this year. Both of them stepping into a starting position in week 3.
Yeah.
With that, they're going to be the ones that get credit for the team's success this year if they step in and continue to win ball games. So obviously, Niners got to turn it back around, but still.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Joe Flacco's still elite.
He's unbelievable.
Still elite.
Yep.
Always
Unbelievable.
in my book. But another there was a kind of couple disappointing games this in NFL Week 3, if you think about it. You know, one of the things I want to talk about is that Pittsburgh Steelers-Browns game on Thursday night.
You want to talk about the Browns?
I do want to talk about the Browns because, you know, it was just they almost found another way to lose. They literally almost, me and you were sitting there on the patio, and I'm saying, like, Todd, I'm not even going to be surprised at this
They're
point.
creative sons of bitches. I'm telling you what. They look for every way, every single way. And they almost did.
And they almost did. And another onside kick literally came down to an ass hair of getting recovered by Pittsburgh. Hell of a kick. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable kick. That's exactly what you're supposed to do with an onside kick. Just fell in the wrong place, fell in the wrong hands, thankfully. Well, not the wrong hands in this situation. I guess the right hands for me. The Browns got it, ended up finding a way to win. But before we get into breaking down that game, can we please talk about that unreal grab that Kenny Pickens had?
Yeah, that was
phenomenal.
Stupid. I mean, that's probably one of the best catches, if not the best catch we've seen since the Odell catch back in 2015 against the Cowboys.
High praise.
the only thing about the Odell catch I think that has on it is that it was a touchdown, and that was.
But from an athletic standpoint,
I think
Pickens' body
Pickens
was way more.
He had to literally had to turn as a complete body. I mean, human beings should not be catching football.
I'm with you. I think he. I think it was best
just straight out. His was like sideways.
He's turning 360, 180 this way, going out of bounds. Kept control all the way down through. And, you know, he's a physical receiver out there on the perimeter, obviously, the way he blocks. I mean, he's put like 5 or 6 guys on their asses already. You watch an NFL preseason, you watch him week 1, he put some guy on his ass. But now he's like, okay, I can also put you on your ass, but I can also go deep, take the top off the defense, and make one of the most stupid catches you've seen in your life. So
he's open 99% of the time.
That's what he said.
I think
he said, I'm open.
Yeah, I think he's like 6'4".
Yeah, he's a big dude.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's pretty tall.
But he's pretty big. But, you know, speaking of big game from Amari Cooper, who gave up the onside kick last week against the Jets. Huge game with 7 catches, 101 yards, and a tutty. And then you had Nick Chubb doing Nick Chubb things, putting up 113 yards off 23 carries and 1 tutty. Now, Todd, let's get into the debate that me and you had during the game on Thursday night. So to give you a backstory, Browns are what? It was 4th and inches.
4th and inches.
With
they called it a first down, then they brought the sticks out and walked it back.
Literally inches.
It was, yeah.
So they have like 50 seconds left on the clock. It was less than a minute, I know. So me and Todd are sitting there and we're debating: do you kick it or do you run it? Now, I'm not an offensive coordinator. This is if I was playing Madden, I'm literally putting my Madden headset on right here. So if I'm 4th and inches, and I have a guy like Nick Chubb in my backfield, and I know the Browns' history of whatever you throw and put in front of them, they could find some way to lose that game.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
You give them the ball with 50 seconds left. I understand what you're saying. You're saying it like, okay, you bury them. You bury them in their own 10, which he did. Unbelievable punt.
But your argument was, just to clarify, your argument was like that's a hard punt.
It is a very hard punt.
But like
I'm not a punter, but I know it's a very hard punt.
They were on like the 30. I don't want to misspeak. 35, 40 yard line.
They were going up into their own territory, right damn near the 50-yard line.
Yeah, but punch it right there within 10 yards, 5 yards if you're good, which obviously, you know, they're professional punter. They should be able to stick it in 5 yards right there from that distance. Just bury them in there, because by the time you punt it high, right, it's a short little chip. You can punt it high, take a lot of time off the clock, give them 15 seconds to go 95 yards.
Okay,
and trust your defense.
How many times? You said 50 seconds left in the game, though?
No, I think it was
less than a minute. It was
under a minute. But I'm saying that I think when they took over after the punt, there was like 27 seconds left.
I think time matters.
And no timeouts. Right? Like, and they had no timeouts.
At the end of the day, if you're going to punt, they only got 15 seconds. That's one thing to go the length.
With no timeouts.
50 seconds, I'm riding Chubb, right?
Right.
Like, at the end of the day, you're going to, how many things has to go right for the other team to score? I mean, you got to punt it perfect. Your defense has to be able to stop them. Or do you go off your workhorse and Chubb, get 4th and inches, game?
And I'm talking from a Browns fan perspective who has seen the Browns completely shit the bed on multiple occasions. One of them live that we talked about last week on the show, being in Detroit for that fiasco. And so the way that I'm thinking is, okay, he's a professional punter. He should know, punt it out of bounds, get as close as you can inside the 10-yard line, make sure you kick it out of bounds. Somehow, for the Browns, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, here's what's going to happen. He's going to misplace the ball on his foot. It's going to go straight down the middle. He's going to get it in the end zone, going to give a touchback. They're going to get the ball on the 25-yard line. They're going to hit 2 outs real quick, and then somehow, some way, they're going to get the ball in the end zone. Browns lose the game. Like that. I mean, unfortunately, that's just how most Browns fans think these days.
In my mind, Browns get it blocked.
I would hope. Maybe.
It happened.
But then you got a guy like I'm saying, and Nick Chubb in 4th and inches.
Yeah.
I mean, let's go back a couple years ago. Not kind of the exact same situation, but kind of. Seahawks, Patriots, Super Bowl. Ball is at what? The 3, the 1?
2 or 1.
2 or 1, something like that. And you got a guy like Marshawn Lynch in your backfield. All you got to do is punch it in, and we stand up and throw it, pick.
Yeah.
Tom Brady comes down, scores, ball game over. In my mind, if I got Nick Chubb back there doing Nick Chubb things, which he's been doing Nick Chubb things all season long, number 1 rusher in the league for a reason, I got pretty good confidence that motherfucker could get 1 inch
And he's only
and a first down.
Well, if
I
you,
feel
if
like
you don't
he-
have that confidence, you got the wrong running back.
Yeah, I feel like he's their only weapon really right now too, in the Browns at least.
Well, I mean, if you look at from an overall production standpoint, yeah, you could say that. But I mean, you got a guy like I said, Amari Cooper, who's kind of came out in his
True.
own.
I always
Jacoby
forget about
Brissett. A lot of people aren't giving Jacoby Brissett enough credit. I mean, that dude is a sturdy, rock solid dude. I mean, be quite honest with you, coming into the season, I'm like, we might win a couple games here and there with Jacoby, but I think he's turning all Browns fans into believers while Deshaun's out. I think hopefully, he can keep that thing rolling, keep the train rolling, getting, the two-headed monster in the backfield with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb rolling. You got guys out on the perimeter like Amari Cooper, and you got a tight end like Njoku who is a steady blocker on the offensive line. Could also go out and make hell of a catches in the passing game as well. So,
All right, quick update. So I just checked the play-by-play. It was 4th and 1. Or third down, left 54 seconds left. 3rd and 1, it was 54 seconds left. They ran the ball. They called it a first down, so the clock stopped to move the chains. And I remember this now that I just read it. But when they realized it wasn't a first down, they put it back 4th and inches and started the clock.
Yeah.
With 54 seconds left. So they ran the play clock all the way down, snapped it with 1 second left, punted it in the air, and the Steelers took over on first down with 15 seconds remaining.
I mean, that's just
On their own.
I would not want to be an offensive
I mean,
coordinator.
with that little time left, I'd probably punt.
Yeah.
But if they were going to get the ball with 50 seconds left, I'd feel differently about it.
Right.
So I think
Yeah, put
time
it on
has
the
I think
four. Put it
time
on
has
the
a
four.
huge factor there.
So the Steelers got it back on first down.
Better take
With
that off
15
there before we
seconds
get
left on the
demonetized. Moving on to a game that you actually told me was going to be game of the week. And you
I
said
did.
watch out for the Dolphins. Even though I drafted you the Bills defense for your fantasy team,
I appreciate that.
you still wanted the Dolphins to win this
I
game
just
for some
thought
reason.
I don't know. I'm big on those big 3 in Miami, and I just thought riding the high that they've been coming off of the last couple of weeks. Bills coming to town.
And the Bills secondary had you playing back there.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I thought, to be honest, I didn't necessarily take the Dolphins. I'm not going to sit here and claim that I picked them to win, but I thought it would be a hell of a game.
Turned out to be one hell of a
It
game.
was.
Dolphins win 21-19, but if you look at the stats, the Dolphins should not have won that game.
No.
I mean, it is stupid. I'll go ahead and break down Josh Allen's stats for you real quick because he actually did the first time. He did something for the first time in Bills history. Josh Allen, 42 of 63 for over 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, and was also the Bills' leading rusher with 47 yards, and he was the first player in Bills history to attempt 60-plus passes in that game. But let's actually get down into the stats of the game and of why the Dolphins should not have won. Time of possession. The Bills had the ball for 40 minutes and 40 seconds in that game.
What?
The Dolphins had the ball for 19 minutes and 20 seconds. The Bills had 31 first downs. The Dolphins had 15. The Bills had 90 offensive plays. The Dolphins ran 39. The Bills had 497 yards of offense. And I cut off the
First off, 90
last
90
one there.
offensive
And the Dolphins
plays
had
is just-
39.
They did not have 39.
They did not have 39.
I'm saying that's what you.
Yeah,
I know,
that's what he
that's
had
what I had,
typo.
but let's see here.
It's all right. You can check it.
90
Go ahead.
plays.
I'll read the punts. Bills punted once. Dolphins punted 5 times.
And actually, let's get into that punt real quick before we come back to the total yards, because obviously everybody knows the butt fumble with Mark Sanchez back in the day. This was the first butt punt that I've ever seen in my career watching the NFL. So Miami up 21-17 with just over a minute and a half left in the game. Thomas Morstead backed up in his own end zone, snaps the ball. And obviously, for people that don't understand the differentiate between college game and the kicking game versus the NFL has to do a pro-style punt. In the college football game, especially with Kentucky, which, over the past couple of years, we've always had Aussie football players come over and, do rugby punts, different things like that to try to expand the pocket, give them more time, take some more time off the clock. But in the NFL, you can't do that. So Thomas Morstead gets the ball and sends one right up the ass of Trent Sheffield for a safety. I mean, literally could not have hit more perfect right there on his ass and bounced, went back in the end zone, give the Bills 2 more points, give the balls right back to the Bills, and then the fiasco unfolded. 18 seconds left, no timeouts for either team. Josh Allen hits Isaiah McKenzie across the middle under extreme pressure, fails to get out of bounds, and had no time to get to the line of scrimmage and spike it. And everybody that watched NFL Sunday saw Ken Dorsey absolutely lose his shit. After Tom Brady broke 2 of those tablets on the sideline last week, the NFL came out and said, hey, we got to start finding players for, destroying shit. And it looked like that Ken Dorsey was literally coming unglued at the moment.
He said, checkmate, I ain't no player.
No. and this is the guy that, a couple weeks ago said, I don't think of myself as too much of a psychopath. But when you get in that situation, though, I mean, I'm sure in his head, they have ran that 2-minute drill over and over and over and over again. And I'm not sure, looking back at the play, if Isaiah McKenzie knew exactly where he was on the field, how much time he had left, how much time there was in the game once he got down. But in that kind of situation, obviously, you have to get out of bounds. It looked like at one point he was cutting up another ad here for our man Todd. YouTube is going to absolutely just take us off.
It's ESPN. By the way, it's 212 total yards for Miami.
But 212. Okay, so you had 497 for the Bills, close to 500, and then barely under 300 for the Dolphins. I mean, by the stats, I mean,
about 50% in every categrry.
Yeah, literally. Right? I mean, there should be no way.
First down, all of it, 50% of each.
No way the Dolphins should have won that game. But like I said, going back to Ken Dorsey, just absolutely losing his shit. By the way, people forget that Ken Dorsey was on probably one of the greatest college football teams of all time, the 2001 Miami Hurricanes, leading them to a perfect 12-0 season and winning the national championship down there. I think they had Ed Reed on that team. Jonathan Vilma was on that team.
I wish they would have had him back.
What are they?
Past week.
Greg Olson was on that team.
Those are some what?
Oh, there are dogs. They are straight up dogs. Ken Dorsey, dog.
Teddy Bridgewater got in.
Yeah, we're getting into that because Tua, for people watching the game, so it wasn't a bad hit. The thing about it was he actually just got 2 hands shoved, but Tua's head literally hit the first thing that hit was the back of his head.
They tried to make an argument all day today on SportsCenter that it was a back injury.
He came out and said it was a back injury.
He literally walked off the field and said it was a back injury.
Yeah, it looked like he had scoliosis when he started walking.
I mean, the guy got up and he completely fell down. From a guy who's had 10,000 concussions, I mean, I know what a concussion looks like in a guy when he has one. I mean, he got up, shakes his head. He's sitting there going, where the fuck am I? Shaking his head off.
That man wobbled.
Takes 2 steps, completely collapses, comes out for 2 plays, and then goes right back in.
He said his spine locked up on him or something.
No, his spine turned into
jelly,
limp noodle.
Yeah, the spinal cord was completely fucked. Exactly what that was. But I mean, and he came off to the side. I don't know exactly what kind of concussion protocol testing they have on the sidelines. Coming from a guy who has cheated multiple concussion protocol tests, which is not really that hard to do back in those days, but.
They took him to the locker room.
But they take him to the locker room. They must have cleared him right then and there because I know the NFL doesn't fuck around with concussions. That's the one thing that they're not messing around with anymore is that, if a guy even has a symptom of a concussion.
Yeah, but how do they remedy that situation? They can't. Are they going to fine him?
That's why I honestly do feel like it could be a spine thing from him, whipping his head back.
Well, what's interesting is
I'm not a doctor.
That's the only reason
NFL has their people on the sidelines. It's not a team
unbiased.
Doctor. They go back with them. So if it was a concussion, then they
I mean, I'm again not a doctor. I will be shocked if that's not what a concussion looks like. That feels like that is what they show when they're giving an example of when not to let someone back in a ball game. When that happens,
let's throw a concussion aside. Either way, that happens. You don't go back in.
You shouldn't go back in. Right? That's all the rules that they're implementing to make football 2-hand touch these days, and you let that guy go back in that situation. He had no idea where he was, and I'm not. You
He's a
know,
dog.
I'm not. I want it to be. I want it to be an aggressive league. Like I think it's getting extremely soft. I think it's taken away from whatever. Protect the players, but when something like that happens, I don't know. Even honestly, if it was a back injury, that might be more dangerous to put him back in the game.
But at the end of the day, if Tua's making that call and we got in a game in that kind of situation, I want Tua in the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they might have gave him a couple smelling salts in the tent. Hey, bud, wake up. Here we go. All right, we're down 5. Need you to come back in here real quick.
I do like that he wanted to be in the game, though.
You know why, Todd?
Yep.
He's a dog.
He loves to win. I will say it. He's a winner.
And speaking of dogs, actually not a dog, but 2 goats. We had the Goat Bowl down in Tampa. We had Rodgers versus Brady. And I believe the on-field temperature before kickoff was 98 degrees. I mean, you saw multiple guys come off the sideline, including Alan Lazard, who after his touchdown catch came over and literally vomited as soon as he took his helmet off on the sideline. So playing a hot game down there like that, I think that was one of the reasons why that Matt LaFleur actually was rotating David Bakhtiari back into the lineup. We'll get to that in a second. But the Packers hold on to win 14-12. Aaron Rodgers started off hotter than your grandma's skillet on a Saturday morning, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Completing 12 of his first 14 passes with a 10 and 12 play drive to take an early 14-3 lead. But people also forget that the Bucs defenses are a bunch of dogs, led by the best middle linebacking core I think in the NFL with Avonte David and Devin White. And then you got guys in the backfield like Mike Edwards and Antoine Winfield Jr. in the secondary. Aaron Rodgers came out, like I said, hot. But for some reasons in the second half, the Bucs defense made some adjustments. The Packers couldn't figure it out and obviously didn't score in the second half. But something that Aaron Rodgers said after the game, which has got everybody, in frenzy. It seems like anytime Aaron Rodgers says anything, it just sends into the media into a frenzy, whether it's, Uncle COVID, whether it's ayahuasca, whether it's, his contract situation, like anything, like his hair, like the way he dresses, like anything. Yeah. It seems like Aaron Rodgers literally is public enemy number 1 in the NFL now. Yeah. And so, but the thing about it is, listen to him talk in all his interviews that he does. That guy does not give a shit of what anybody says, thinks about him. And that's one of the reasons why I like him a lot, because at the end of the day, he's like, okay, that's fine. I'm still the back-to-back reigning MVP. I'm still the best football thrower of all time. Yeah. So, at the end of the day,
Go back to what he said, though, because I want to.
Okay, so he was getting interviewed after the game, and they asked him. He said, I saw something on the jumbotron. That I think he either said
they probably
it could have been both ways when they're talking about delay of game. I can't remember exactly what happened. Yeah. But he said that something he saw on the jumbotron. All he did was relate the message to his team. Mm-hmm. My question is, should the jumbotron operator be fired, or What's going on here? I don't know exactly what he saw. That's my question.
I want to know
what he saw.
It had to have been some with the offsides, because the play Tampa Bay scored on that he was looking at the jumbotron was when they scored with 30 seconds left or something, and then they had the 2-point conversion and they draw Tampa Bay offsides to get 5 yards back, and supposedly he said he saw something in that first offsides, and I don't know football like
that's
you
just
do.
Look. He's just that self-aware, right?
So smart.
He's that smart. That's not I guarantee you that if most other quarterbacks or offensive coordinators or anything else paid attention to things the way that he does and picked up on that, then they would address it too. But he's just that good. He knows what to look for. He just happened to get to see it from a above angle. Yeah, he's looking at it from an above angle. So no, that's not the operator.
And I've never seen a quarterback dissect the field pre-snap. He is the best at getting the snap off when they're trying to sub. Mm-hmm. I mean, guys could literally be 3 feet from the sideline, and he knows, snap the ball, take a shot. We know where we're going to flag.
He's just so self-aware. He's so self-aware.
I'm happy you brought that up. I noticed that yesterday. When they were in snap, he was poking his head out of the huddle to look and see what the defense was doing before they even broke snap. And I was like, all right,
he's dissecting shit before they even started dissecting.
I saw an interview with him. I don't remember. It was fairly recently. I don't remember who it was with. But he's talking about how he wasn't the fastest or most athletic in his draft class. Of course, he's got a hell of an arm, but he wasn't the most athletic or versatile athlete. And he, alluded to the fact that it's his success and his multiple MVPs have come because he just wants it more. He's aware and knows where he can make up those missing gaps in his game. And one of those is that, right? He knows what to look for. He knows how to read a defense. It's just repetition. It's the fact that he's trained his mind how to see flaws and see, where they're exposed and take advantage of that. So
I think the ayahuasca opened up his third
that
eye.
definitely didn't hurt.
definitely did.
I think that's his third eye looking. The ayahuasca. I think that's what he's.
Exactly.
I mean, he's out there just looking, and there may be 11. To him, it looks like there's 25. Right there, everything's just moving. He's like, okay, all right, you're not off the sideline yet. Right, so that.
He said, "There's 26 people out there. Snap it."
Oh man, but he is. I mean, to be quite honest with you, he's literally probably one of the as far as football IQ goes. Behind a guy like Peyton Manning, who we fortunately get to hear every single Monday break down a game as the game's going on. Probably one of my favorite parts of the week is sitting there listening to Peyton and Eli actually break down games of what's going on and breaking it down simply enough for the average NFL fan to know. I think that's what makes a great commentator. So. Yeah. Shout out to Peyton Manning for that.
One more quick thing before we leave that topic. So this is terrible. I don't even want to say it, but I shouldn't have brought it up before we started recording. But I saw a meme that showed Tom and Aaron shaking hands after the game. Yeah. Tom and Aaron, as if they're my boys, shaking hands after the game, and it said loser has to call their family.
That was rough.
Terrible. Okay, go ahead.
But speaking of calling their family, we'll go to Tom Brady. Brady showing that he missed his top targets in Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Julio Jones, but at the end of the time, Brady's still Brady. I mean, that 2-minute drive there at the end of the game just showed no Julio Jones, no Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. I still got this. I still got my guys out there on the perimeter. I mean, to sign a guy like Cole Beasley last week, getting him elevated up from the practice squad to try to make some plays for him with a down receiving group. I mean, Tom Brady, you give him enough time, he's going to find a way to move the ball down the field. Mm-hmm. Now, the Packers defense, they bent, but they didn't break. A guy like Rashawn Gary coming off another one sack per game. I think that's 3 he's got this year. The Michigan State standout, or Michigan. Was it Michigan or Michigan State? I'm pretty sure he's a Michigan guy.
I think it was Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan guy. So, and a lot of people were actually, starting to question, what he could do. I know he's dealt with a couple injuries his first couple years in the league, but, really showing that he's that guy on the defensive line that could step up and make plays for him, especially after losing Zadarius Smith last year. So stepping up and making plays for Green Bay on that defense. But going back to the offensive side of things, like I said, David Bakhtiari's back for Green Bay, making his second overall start since suffering a significant knee injury back in December of 2020. Slowly moving him back into the rotation with him playing 50% of the snaps, splitting time with, I'm going to try to pronounce this right. I've been trying to look it up all fucking day. Josh Neiman. Josh Neiman. I did know that the J is not pronounced, but there's 2 sources on the internet. One says knee, one says nah. So Josh, if you see this, I'm sorry, brother. I completely botched your last name if I did. But the Packers head coach Matt LaFleur admitted that Bakhtiari did not like the idea of the rotation, but did not want to overwhelm him in his first game back of the 2022 season. Also pointed out, like I said at the beginning of the topic, the hot weather down in Tampa was another reason why he rotated Bakhtiari and Neiman. Once again, I'm sorry. Since Bakhtiari hasn't played a full game in over 2 years, Aaron Rodgers goes on to say in his press conference that he thought that the pass protection was good, especially against a talented Buccaneers front, and he felt that both left tackles handled their business, perfectly. And here's my thing: rotating or not, it's always good to have your 5-time All-Pro franchise left tackle in the lineup. I mean, There's a reason why you've paid him that money. There's a reason why he's got all the accolades. There's a reason why when he's in the game, Aaron Rodgers doesn't go down the ground as much. And so having a guy like Bakhtiari back in the lineup, whether he's being rotated or not, definitely gives the Packers an edge going on moving down the season. Matt LaFleur did go on to say in his post-game presser that the idea of rotating him next week against the Patriots is not completely off the table, which, I mean, from a coaching standpoint, I can understand that. I mean, you got a guy who had a significant, I believe it was an ACL tear in 2020. Then he tries to come back, re-injures the knee again, has to go back into more rehab. And like I said, this is a 5-time All-Pro. I mean, you want to have your best 5 out there at all times. And so having a guy like Bakhtiari back, well, like I said, whether in rotation or not, I'm sure it makes Rodgers feel a little bit more comfortable back there as soon as he's taking those snaps. But speaking of the Patriots, moving on to another game, let's talk about Lamar Jackson yesterday. Another unbelievable performance against the Pats. I mean, at the end of the day, pay
Video
that
game
man.
numbers, man.
And the great quote from Teddy KGB, pay that man his money.
He turned down what, 250?
Yeah.
Turned down 250 guaranteed.
It was
No, not
220. It was
He literally wants a better contract than Deshaun Watson. I mean, at the end of the day, can you blame the guy for what he's done, comparing everything that Deshaun? I'm not taking anything away from Deshaun Watson, but okay.
Hang on, he turned down.
Let me rephrase that. I'm not taking anything away from Deshaun Watson on the field.
Fair
maybe
enough.
off the
Okay.
field.
He turned down 250 because he wants it all guaranteed.
Yeah.
That's the
That's $200 million was guaranteed. or
Yeah,
something.
that's the stipulation. He's saying he would. I think the argument is I'll take 250.
I mean, he's smart.
but it's got to be all guaranteed.
But here's the question, though. Do the Ravens even have that kind of money?
That was the big issue. People were saying that they didn't feel that they had that to be guaranteed.
Where's all their cap space though? Like,
I mean, they're going to have to start doing like, when we were back in, elementary school and middle school, like doing the garbage bag fundraisers for our local, elementary school or little league team. Yep. Whatever the Ravens have got to do to keep that man in Baltimore, I say you do whatever you have to do because you don't have him. You're not seeing the production that you've seen over these last couple of years. I mean, the guy is literally the best athlete across the board in the NFL. I mean, look at the numbers here. He is so far this season number one in passing touchdowns. And here's the thing. People said that, just make Lamar beat you with his arm. Okay, well, good luck with that. Number one in passer rating, tied as the number 4 rusher in the entire league. And in a 37-26 win against the Pats, he went 18 of 29 for 218 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. Also adding another 100-plus yard game on the ground while he continues to pile on a record that he broke last week. He also had 11. He also had a touchdown off 11 rushes as well. So I just don't understand. Like, that literally has to be the only question that has to be answered is, do the Ravens have that kind of money to keep Lamar Jackson in Baltimore?
I got a feeling after this year they're going to have to find some more.
it doesn't look like it.
I mean, he's betting, and here's the thing, betting on himself. You look at the guys that are in kind of like the same contract situation. You look at Aaron Judge in MLB with the Yankees. I mean, he is absolutely going off, betting on himself, saying, okay, you don't want to pay me? I'll make sure that I'm available to get paid no matter where I go. And I think Lamar's doing the exact same thing. He's going out there just playing Lamar ball, just like he said yesterday in his press conference. I'm just going out there and playing Lamar Jackson football.
I saw a tweet after that game said Lamar Jackson, who still doesn't have a contract extension, has scored 4+ touchdowns in every game of the season, while Denver Broncos Russell Wilson has a smooth quarter billion and has 2 total touchdowns in 10 quarters this year.
Yeah. I'm looking at it right now. It looks like the Ravens, as the years go on, are only going to gain more cap space. Right now, this year, $200 million in total for players, and then next year it goes to $180 million.
I don't even think it's the cap space for them. I just don't think that they have the money they want to be paying. Mm-hmm. Like they don't want to be giving it. They like Ravens like being under the cap pretty significant amount.
Yeah, I mean, but you have a once in a lifetime talent like that. I mean, you've got to find a way to keep him there. Yep. I mean, you've already built some weapons around him. Keep him there. And then, and you look at the NFL draft, I mean, most of the times you see the most of your successful receivers being 3rd, 4th round draft picks, even undrafted free agents. So it's not like you got to go spend all your money and take a guy like Kenny Pickens in the 1st round, or go trade for, let's say, a Julio Jones or, someone like that of a top tier talent. You don't have to go out and, bring in the most top talented receiver of the league. Just give him some weapons that he could work with. And here's the thing. He's the best rusher in the league besides Nick Chubb. The guy hands the ball. He can, you have no idea what he's going to do with it.
You let him scramble.
Unbelievable. Literally, it's like Bo Jackson playing quarterback. I mean, the guy, they have him listed at 6'2", 212. I guarantee he's every bit of 6'2", 225 right now.
Oh, yeah.
Probably 220 at the least. I mean, the guy's put on 12 to 15 pounds in the offseason. People thought, he was going to take a step off his speed. He's going this and that. No, that dude is out there outrunning cornerbacks at a outside linebacker's weight.
Yeah.
So whatever the Ravens have to do to keep that man in Baltimore.
Did you see Belichick's comments on him?
Yeah, he said, we'll just have to let's check out his contract.
I love that though. Like one of the most hard asses in the league. He's saying, you got questions about who this guy was going to be as an NFL quarterback. See what Baltimore offers him. Yeah, almost as if to say he's going to get his money one way or the other.
Yeah, here's the thing. Mac doesn't.
I saw something. I was like, Lamar Jackson going to the Ravens after each week, saying the price is only going up.
At this point, he's completely he's either undistracted, which is partially probably true, or he's just like, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna get this money.
Yeah, that boy from Broward County, he's gonna show him.
Well, I was about to say, I saw some video of him with Kodak on Friday night with just doing whatever out at some club, and then yesterday
goes out and balls.
Yeah,
I think for me this year he can do whatever he wants during the regular season, but it'll come down to playoffs. Yeah. At the end of the day, Lamar's been super good during the regular season, maybe not to this extent, but nonetheless, when they've got to the playoff in the past few years, it hasn't really.
And it's only week 3. Yeah, and that's the thing people got to. It's only week 3. I know that everybody's excited about football season coming back and seeing top tier talent like this. So, maybe we need to pump the brakes a little bit until, week 9, week 10, till we get in the back half of the season. if everybody can stay healthy. Can he keep the weapons around him? Can he keep guys out of the training room? Can he keep guys off IR? I mean, that's really what comes down to any team success in NFL is how healthy are you going into the playoffs? How healthy are you in the playoffs? And so, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But let's go ahead and jump down into college football Week 4 breakdown. Couple crazy little things happened here, but let's go ahead and start off with now. Todd, we'll talk about. We'll go ahead and talk about everything that you stopped in the first segment about.
I didn't. Hey, you moved it on me. I thought it was going to be one of the opening puts. Okay, so
it's my fault.
So it is your fault. So somebody comes down onto the field after a game and gives you a 2-hand chuck in the back. Are you playing the following Saturday?
I'm not playing the remainder of my eligibility. Probably, I would say Mitch Barnhart and Eli Capilouto would have had my ass out of the state of Kentucky if that were to happen to me.
He did scurry off into the crowd pretty quick.
Yeah, I don't think he got caught up.
Oh, that was a hit and run.
I was a hit and run. He was gone.
I'd like to talk to the player and figure out, did you ever?
I'm sure they've asked him today about it.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to find that.
Now that video's gone viral, it's definitely probably getting looked into or something.
But Texas Tech goes down. Well, they don't go down. Texas comes to them, and Texas Tech hands them the first loss since 2008, throwing horns down all the way. And like we said, crazy shit post-game. Does that, I wonder if that's, the main concern for not only teams, but, the athletic directors, people up in the office saying, okay, we can't have people storm the field.
Drunk kids be on the field?
Yeah, because of something like that.
As a college student, I was – at UK where we stormed the field a couple times. There's I can't remember what game it was specifically in 2015.
South Carolina.
Yeah, that's right, South Carolina. But it was, it was me, Devin Booker, Alex Poitras, and Brian Long. We all stormed the field, and we were. It's kind of that mob mentality, right? You're not thinking about the consequences. You don't really can't. Plus, you're talking about a slew of drunk teenagers running onto a field against grown ass.
By the way, we do not promote underage drinking.
Yeah, well, nor does UK because we don't sell alcohol during the game.
That's true. Yeah, they're sober kids. Anyway, they're running. There's a bunch of young kids that are not.
And
in most cases,
kids with their parents,
their family. Yeah, but I'm saying it's specific to the student section, right? You got a slew of drunk underage kids that are more than likely not the same physical strength and athletic specimen of those that are on the field in pads and cleats and helmets and everything else. And you got, 50, 60 pissed off guys on the other sideline?
Yeah, that are absolute monsters.
That are getting pushed through by these people. Only bad things can happen. And I, as a college kid and growing up, when we got an opportunity to storm the field, you love that. And you don't want them to take that away. But the liability for the school, certainly understandable why they fine them. The liability for the athletes, the kind of trouble. If that Texas player turned around and just cold cocked that student, he's going to jail.
He's done for.
And
nothing happens. And I guarantee nothing's going to happen to this.
And that kid should have never been down there. He should have never been in that position. Yeah. So I'm torn because I love the passion behind them doing that. I love the if you're a celebrating team on your home field getting to do that with your student body. I think all that's awesome and healthy. But the unfortunate reality is, we live in a world that's not how it usually goes, and everything's on video this time.
Yeah, so hopefully we can get that the video thrown up here for everybody to see.
I think we can put that up because it was a pretty
core quality Snapchat video. So the thing about it is, they probably won't be able to even identify that kid because it happens so quick.
It happens so fast.
But if they actually want to break it down and see who was involved, I'm sure with.
I don't know. They get those kids for flipping cars on State Street.
Have they found those kids yet?
They always do.
I haven't seen anything on the news. I saw they launched some investigation, but nothing's happened.
I don't think
burn couches don't flip cars. Anyway,
but more of the story.
Don't park on State. Don't park on State Street.
Do not park on State Street.
You got to be pretty stupid at this point to be parking on State Street.
Especially when we play Florida.
I'm saying don't park on State Street on a Saturday or in March.
Yeah, I don't care if we're playing Florida or Florida A&M. I'm not parking on State Street. I really do not care. But speaking of Florida, down in Knoxville, there was a great game this past Saturday. Tennessee beat Florida 38-33, making the Gators 2-2 on the year and 0-2 in SEC play, which I'm not going to be too mad about.
That quarterback's so overhyped.
I think you should tweet about Florida. Just see what happens.
Nah, I don't think so. I think I'm good. But Anthony Richardson had over 500 yards of total offense with 2 passing and 2 rushing tutties. Hendon Hooker on the Tennessee Vol side of things had over 450 yards total of offense, throwing it for 349 yards in the air and 2 tutties. Also led the Vols in rushing with 112 on the ground and 1 touchdown, which I've said here in the notes, my Heisman favorite right now. I mean, you've seen what the guy's done the last 2 years in Tennessee. Josh Heupel's done a great job of, really expanding and making the Tennessee offense exciting. And it's hard for me to say this because I'm now in an analyst / outside looking in kind of thing. I think when Tennessee is like legit good, I mean, they're not just, beating a random team here, and it somehow find a way to beat Kentucky. I'm talking when they are legit good. Mm-hmm. I think that's when college football is legit good. Like seeing Tennessee come out, playing their balls off each and every week, playing against a team like Florida, and Hendon Hooker, who last year came up in here and absolutely put on a show in Lexington. I mean, we beat him in 2019 when he was at Virginia Tech. But the thing about it is, and I talk about this with people all the time, with different schemes and different fits, it's all about the fit. It's all about what kind of offensive style you're in, who your offensive coordinator is, what kind of things are, being chatted about. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, Hendon Hooker right now, my Heisman favorite. Todd, you got a Heisman favorite right now?
I actually don't. To be fair, I have to watch a lot more than a small sample size. Like you can pick out the attributes that could make an elite player, and I admittedly can't yet. So I need a little bit longer into the season to kind of mold my opinion, see who becomes a clear outlier, and then I can choose from them. But admittedly, don't have I don't have enough of a sample size to use my tiny schematic football brain to pick one.
A lot of people are saying Caleb Williams is going to be their Heisman favorite, and to be quite honest with you, I don't even know how USC is in the top 10 after watching that game last week against Oregon State. I mean, nothing to take away from USC and Oregon State, but it's still the Pac-12. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's a reason why that USC and UC is it USC and UCLA leaving?
Yeah.
Trying to leave?
Yeah.
There's a reason why they're trying to leave.
Absolutely.
But Hendon Hooker, wish you nothing but the best, brother, but except for when we come down and play there this year, which, by the way, we need to go to that game.
We're going to that.
We need to go to that game.
Yeah,
I got my buddies from Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah.
They went to MTSU. We'll be down there.
We got to take this show on the road for that.
That'd be pretty funny.
We'll go do it down there right in the middle of the
Then have all the great Tennessee faithful just throwing all their golf balls and beer bottles and everything at me. Rain it down on me.
Back to Hooker, though. This next 2 weeks will tell you a lot about him. Going to play LSU at LSU and then Bama the week right after. Because, I mean, the first 3 weeks he had Ball State, Pitt, and Akron, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, Pitt's a somewhat decent team.
Right.
But he hasn't had SEC back-to-back weeks yet. I mean, given no one has yet. But he's going to have Florida and then this week going to LSU.
Yeah, speaking of getting non-conference games out of the way, have you guys seen Kentucky's schedule for next year?
Yeah.
I have.
I mean, literally every non-conference game is at the front of the schedule, and then every game is SEC, then we end up with Louisville.
Non-conference, then Vanderbilt. I mean, we got first 4 games should be cakewalk.
What are you going to do when they make the Kentucky-Tennessee game noon kickoff, just like they made the LSU-Tennessee one? Guarantee you they make it
I don't even want to talk about Saturday this week. I'm already pissed off about that. It's 11 o'clock local kickoff at Ole Miss.
Yeah, I don't know how you put 2 top 20. I get that it's Ole Miss's homecoming. Like, I get that. But we had homecoming last year against LSU, and it was at 7. Maybe make it the CBS game of the week.
Yeah. When next year our homecoming game is Alabama. So.
Yeah,
and then they do some stupid shit like that. Yay.
Can't wait.
Can't wait for that. Oh, my God.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, but as we were talking about earlier, Middle Tennessee State went down to South Beach, beats the U 45-31 with a nice little $1.5 million donation to play and $40,000 in expenses, travel expenses. So my question is the U finally officially dead after this?
Has to be. It was their first week in top 25, and they lose to a non-Power 5 school.
I mean, we gave Ken Dorsey a lot of love for, playing on the greatest national championship team in college football history, but, I just don't think it's been the same since then. I don't know, what's happened, if they've lost their swag, if they've just completely abandoned what, the U is, and I'm not going to sit here and say I know what the U's like, but, it seemed like, forever and ever they were just, built on this epitome of, confidence, swagger, athleticism. But and here's the thing, though. You got a lot of guys that realize of how many talented players are down in South Florida, and now they're going down and just absolutely just driving through every city, taking every bit of talent that they got. And, it could be a thing to where they just literally, like, all the best players are leaving. I mean, I just don't understand what it is, but Nice little $1.5 million donation, kind of like Appalachian State going down to Texas A&M and get that nice little donation for them.
Yeah.
So big wins for the small schools around here so far. I know, Parker, you're happy to be proud MTSU member. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it was a great game. Like I told you, that one stat about the receiver I thought was crazy. He had 2 receptions for 198 yards.
That's like some Randy Moss shit. I think he had like
2 receptions for 198 yards. I was blown away.
But
How nuts did they go in what is it, Murfreesboro?
Yeah. So there was some video like they waited for them all to get home.
Dude,
it was
Murfreesboro's awesome.
2
That's
I
awesome,
love
man.
Murfreesboro.
I love Murfreesboro.
Right outside.
I visited there.
Dude, that's where I turkey on it down there,
Really?
down there around Eagle. I was telling Parker about I hunt down there in Eagleville, which is like 45-minute drive from it. But I love MTSU, and
it was
that place called?
I mean,
Yeah.
school wise, it was great while I was there. I mean,
I was that close. Almost. If the Kentucky thing hadn't worked out, that was a top choice.
Money's there too.
Murfreesboro's fun though.
It's because
awesome.
it's just next to Nashville.
Yeah. I have to imagine that it was going off the rails on Saturday night.
Oh, I'll guarantee you. I bet you. I mean, I saw videos like
Didn't they flip
2:30
any cars?
I was gonna say, there's probably have their state street down there.
Is there like a state street down there, Parker?
Sort of, but I was down there during COVID mostly, so I really didn't get to see it at a great time.
That
But
son
it is
of a
the
bitch,
biggest.
COVID.
It's the biggest school in Tennessee. It has more kids than UT and Vandy.
Really?
It has
I
like
did
60,
not know that.
60-some thousand.
I'll tell you this though, the best offensive lineman I ever played, Chandler Brewers from MTSU.
Really?
That motherfucker was huge. I'm
they-
talking 6'6". I think he still plays for the Rams. 6'6", about 320, and athletic as all get out. He was hands down probably one of the best offensive line we played that year. And that was an
get
18 when we had that hell of a defense. And
They get some big guys
ran it
on
us
that
game.
team down there. I mean, they really find those guys and that like hidden in Tennessee and
Big,
stuff,
strong
and-
country
and
boys.
Clarksville and stuff, and bring them in. And it's, I mean, shout out my man Frank. He killed it rushing this week. But Chase Cunningham, 408 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns.
Pretty big week. But,
Solid.
that's not my biggest surprise of the week. Actually, I'm going to go with my surprise of the week is Georgia giving up 22 points against Kent State. I would love to have been a fly on the wall in that locker room after and hear Kirby Smart what he had to say. In his post-game presser, he gave the Bulldogs a lot of credit for, being resilient and saying that they, they got better as a team this week. But, when you got the Big Red defense like that, who has just been on an absolute terror.
That was rough.
And you had I think you had 7 of your 11 starters from last year's defense go to the NFL. I think 4 of them being in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
And then coming back this year thinking, is this going to be a rebuild year for Georgia? Absolutely not. It's going to be an absolute reload of what they've been doing, especially defensively. And you got a guy like Stetson Bennett who's been out there performing each and every week. You got a guy like Lad Conkey, or is it McConkey? Lad McConkey, Conkey, something like that. Sorry, all Georgia fans. They're actually starting to utilize him a lot more in the run game, scoring 2 off of jet sweep motion. So Georgia finding a way to still continue that path of dominance. I think that, giving up 22 points to a non-conference team like that probably had to piss Kirby Smart pretty off.
I would imagine that was a rough lashing that they got.
But at the end of the day, Georgia's Georgia.
I mean,
They're gonna
they
be
were
fine.
only up, like 3 at half?
I think they ended up winning like 39-22, something like that. So they
39-22,
definitely didn't cover. So I'm sure all the people around Athens are pretty pissed about that. But maybe that's why Kirby was pissed. Maybe Kirby had something on the side.
He's always mad.
You never know. Hey, here's one thing I will say, though, and this is kind of going to basketball terms. Never bet against Rick Pitino on the spread.
Oh, yeah.
Never bet against Rick Pitino on the spread.
He's aware. He's
Very
Italian.
aware.
He watches that stuff.
He is Italiano.
Yeah.
He's a dog.
He controls that.
He's
stuff.
also, you have your opinions about him being a coach at Louisville, have your opinions about him, leaving Kentucky, have your opinions about him and his off the court antics, but that man is one of the best basketball minds to ever walk this earth.
Yeah, dude.
Don't doubt it.
Unbelievable.
You know why?
He's a dog.
Because he's a dog. And speaking of dogs, we had us a dog fight here in Lexington last week as Kentucky hangs on to beat Northern Illinois 31-23. You had Will Levis with another 300-yard game in the air, connecting with Tavion Robinson, the transfer from Virginia Tech, 7 times for 147 yards, including a 69-yard touchdown grab. And you also had co-freshman of the week, Barian Brown. A lot of people have been talking about Dane Key these past couple of weeks, obviously with the things he's done on the field. But another freshman steps up this week as Barian Brown with 4 grabs, 102 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 2 of the touchdowns being really big, one of them being the first touchdown of the game, and the next one being the backbreaker that sent Kentucky into the victory. But, the thing about it is, you look at that game, Kentucky still struggles up front. I mean, it just seems like I've been trying to tell people, give it till week 5, give it till week 6, and the offensive line will mesh, because this offensive line as a collective unit has never played together.
What's their? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I don't know. What's their age? Like how old are we?
You're looking at
Jaggers, what, freshman?
Jaggers a redshirt
freshman. Kenneth Horsey, he's a senior.
Manning's a senior.
Manning's a senior.
I bet it's all about sophomore median average.
Yeah, you're pretty even spread out.
Flax is a junior.
Yeah.
And then Eli Cox is a junior.
Yeah.
So
you got guys rotating in with that same kind of same class and different things like that. So it's pretty even across the board as far as But with injuries and stuff, they haven't even got to get 4 games as a unit together.
Yeah.
Manning was out week before last. Switch left tackle was first of the season, so they still haven't had a lot of time to get that cohesion together, which they need to get it together this weekend.
If you want to go down to Ole Miss and you want to play in the Grove, you've got to be able to run the football. That's one of the main things, especially as a Kentucky offense who for 5-6 years was known as just a running offense.
Yeah.
I mean, we would literally put Lynn Bowden back there at quarterback, and everybody and their brother knew what was coming. It was going to be split zone, inside zone, or power. That's literally the only 3 things that we could run, because we didn't run outside zone. We didn't run any kind of veer option, anything like that. We were just straight line up, run it down your throat, and you're going to like it. And so, I think even Coach Stoops said in his press conference that people start to appreciate the run game now, and he had to kind of chuckle and shake it off as a joke before all the great people of cancel culture come after him. So shout out to you, Coach, for verifying that it was a joke and how everybody should, take it easy a little bit.
We got to do the full on Frank Caliendo style mocking.
It's not. That's the thing. It's not mocking.
You're right.
It's
sorry.
not mocking, Todd.
What's the word I'm looking for? Impersonation. Because
impersonation is the most sincere form of flattery, but I can't do that to Coach Stoops.
He walked in on you doing it in the
he did.
Team
so
room
he actually
right?
did do that. So my buddy Walker Wood, who transferred to McNeese State 2 years ago, he was a quarterback here for us. He had, I think Stoops had a press conference. It was a Monday practice, so Stoops will come in from his press conference straight to us, and we'll do the team meeting and everything like that. And he was running a couple minutes late, and so everybody then knew I had a Stoops impression. I'd do it in the locker room, and just trying to make everybody laugh and things like that. But I don't think Stoops knew that I had an impression of him. And so I'm up there, and I'm giving basically like I'm running down like the team meeting, like I'm directing the team meeting. And all of a sudden, I look over and I see Stoops just over at the corner of the door, and I'm like, okay, you got 2 decisions.
Yeah.
You either keep going and pray to God that he likes it, or you sit down like a dog with your tail tucked between your legs.
Yeah, you own it. You got to own it.
So I was like,
you had to own it.
Fuck it, let's keep going. And so I kept going and kept going, and I think that if the entire room didn't crack up, then he wouldn't think it's funny, but since the entire room thought it was one of the funniest things they've heard. I could see
him thinking that's funny.
He thought that was pretty funny. But, it's something like, because Julian Edelman, he does a great Belichick impersonation.
That one's funny.
Unbelievable. And so I remember the one time I was listening to him talking, they were asking him to do it again. And he was like, I went and I visited the team, and, I came in and Bill meets me up and he goes, listen, if I got to see you on TV every day doing my fucking impression, what the fuck are we even doing? And so I just don't want to, cross that line with Coach Stoops. He's been nothing but, great to me. And, I just, with how people are on the internet now, they could take it as me making fun of him and whatnot, but I promise you, it's just all in good fun. That's probably one of the biggest things I miss about football in general, is just cracking it up with the dudes, just being in the locker room and, having those little inside jokes or impersonations of people, and just, playing cards or, doing anything like that, just having the dudes in the locker room with you, which was always a great time. But getting back to Kentucky and their struggles, another struggle that they had was surprisingly on defense. I mean, Kentucky's defense just so far this year through 3 games coming into this game has been lights out. I mean, they played 6 straight quarters of shutout football. Second half, not giving up a single score against Florida, and then last week not giving up a single score against Youngstown State throughout the entirety of the game. But when you look at this game, they only had 1 tackle for loss, and that came from our defensive back in Zion Childress. And we also had NIU gaining probably 3.7 to 3.9 yards per carry. And I believe that makes it the third game out of 4 that Kentucky has been outgained on the ground. So for a program that's been known to run the football down people's throats, including last year, I mean, it's kind of hard to see that, Kentucky just can't seem to get a run game going. But thank God we now have a passing game and a passing attack to where we can try to take it vertically down the field and take the top off the defense, and having guys out there in space to make that happen. So many athletes across the board, even with the, as young as the receiving corps as they are, I mean, these are the guys you're going to have to rely on. And, we were telling Coach Merrill the other night when we were having dinner with him, having a deep tight end room like that, not only helps us in the passing game, but, especially in our run game, we've got to be able to get some chips on these guys. We've got to be able to stay in and help these guys on the edge, whether it be a chip, staying in protection, max protection, giving Will more time to throw, whatever we got to do to help out Will and give him more time back there to connect with these athletes down the field. I mean, it's just that simple that, having a deep tight end room like that, if we didn't have that, who knows where we'd be right now. So we'll have to see how that game unfolds. But now we'll go into our let me do that again. And so now this week's interview, we sit down and talk with former Pittsburgh Steeler, avid duck hunter, avid outdoorsman, Devlin Duck Hodges. Hope you guys enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now for, it seems like the 5th or 6th time we've tried to do this. We've tried to get this interview going 5 or 6 times now. We've run into technical difficulties. Everybody that has a podcast knows you run into almost each and every day. None other than the man himself, undrafted free agent from Stanford, one of the only Stanford quarterbacks to ever play in the NFL. He is a 2009 Junior World Duck Call champion. He's a 2018 Alabama State champion duck caller, and he's also the Walter Payton Award winner, which is the Heisman Trophy of the FCS, one of the best to ever do it. None other than himself, former Pittsburgh Steeler, Duck Hodges. What's going on, brother?
Man, what's going on? Appreciate the intro there, boys.
Hey, no problem. It seems like you've heard that intro like 5 or 6 times now.
I mean, that might have been like the 5th time, but it's all good. I could hear it again if we want to do it one more time.
Hey, I'm sure not. I'm sure everybody would have a kick out of that.
Oh man,
hey man. But Amanda, we talked about it a little bit there before we got kicked off of the original recording. You're out of football for the first time this fall, so kind of take me through your transition, what you're getting into, and maybe there might be some different things down the line for you, man. So how's that going for you?
Yeah. Like you said, first fall like out of football. Sorry, and man, it's definitely different. It's different. Feels weird not going to practice every day, not having meetings. I'm not gonna say that I don't like. I enjoy not having to do practice and meetings. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's been nice, man. I've been able to do some stuff that I've always wanted to do during the fall that I haven't gotten to because of football. I've already been to Canada on a duck hunting trip, and I've been able to kind of get my bow dialed in, plan on doing a little bit more bow hunting this year, and been able to travel and just do some things that I've always wanted to do. And I don't know if football is actually done. Technically I'm retired, but Tom Brady retired too. So you can see how that works out. But man, it's been good. It's been smooth. It's definitely been different, but I have enjoyed it, man. Been watching football still. Probably watch football more than when I played. Because I mean, shit, it's been when it's kind of like a job for you, and even in college, like football's still a job. I mean, you're not really getting paid in college, or when we were there, you didn't get paid as much as these guys are now.
We ain't getting paid.
But man, it's a job. It's been a job for the past 7-8 years, and not having to do it and not being my job, I've kind of enjoyed being able to watch football and appreciate good games and stuff, and it's been smooth, man. It's been smooth, so it's different.
That's awesome. Yeah, for me, like when I was in school, obviously I didn't get a chance to go on to the league. But when I was in school and during the season and everything, like, I'd come home from practice or come home from a game and, there'd be games on TV and everything like that. I'm like, dude, I watch enough film, like, to where, like, I just wanted to turn on YouTube and watch, Seek One or one of them boys go out and bust a giant and, maybe watch Kevin Van Dam rip some lips or something like that stuff, that, I'm interested in that I don't get the chance to do that often. So I feel you there, man. That's awesome. But, yeah. I was going to say, you said you're not retired, so if somebody, late in the season gets a push, have some injuries come up, they give you a call, say, hey, Duck, we need you, man.
Oh, bro,
Is that what's going to happen?
if an NFL team called today, if they called me right now, I'd have to see, hey guys, we'll do this podcast a sixth time another time. But nah, man, it's like, I was supposed to go back up to the CFL this year. I'm technically still under contract until the end of the season this year with the CFL. And man, I mean, nothing but respect for the CFL and what they got going on. It just wasn't for me. Growing up in the South, with SEC football, and I've been playing football since I was 5 years old. When I got there, it's different. It's different football than what I'm used to. Man, it's a good league. It's a fun league, but it wasn't for me, man. So I didn't really feel comfortable or really excited about going back up there. This supposed to be there this fall, and like I said, we'll kind of see what happens. Maybe if one of these spring leagues, XFL or USFL, if they call, and everything kind of works out, that might be something I do. My college coach was telling me the other day, he's like, man, you just ought to go play in the USFL for like 3 or 4 years and just be like a USFL legend. He's like, then you can duck hunt, you can do all your hunting shit. I was like, man, shit, that don't sound bad, but yeah, man, I don't know. If football could be done, football couldn't be done. I mean, we'll just kind of see. I'm not sitting here saying that I'm completely done with it. If I never play again, anyways, like I kind of see myself becoming a high school coach. I definitely don't want to do college coaching, especially nowadays, and definitely want to do NFL coaching. But I can see myself trying to, do some high school coaching one day and whatnot. So I'm always going to be somewhat involved with the game and obviously around the game. So, but man, right now I'm gonna hunt my ass off while I can.
Get after it.
You mentioned not being a pro, but if you were still in college now that the NIL laws and everything have changed, who's the number one sponsor you're going after?
I mean, definitely Mossy Oak. I mean,
okay, just
Mossy
wanted to
Oak.
make sure.
Honestly, probably some of the sponsors that are sponsors of my little podcast I got going and my little YouTube thing I'm doing this year. Mossy Oak and Browning and Shin Gear. I mean, those are definitely some of the guys I would hope to have worked with in college. Man, I tell you, going to Sanford makes it a little bit different.
Yeah,
FCS small school. I mean, I'm not saying I would got. I feel like if I was there now, I would have got paid a little bit, but definitely nothing like if I would have been a quarterback at Kentucky or some SEC school like that.
I was close to being down there in Birmingham with you. Well, I would have been gone by the time you got there. I graduated in 2015, but I almost played basketball for Scott Padgett down there when he was in Sanford.
Gotcha.
But it's a good spot, man. I got to visit there. Good little spot. Good spot to. I mean, you're from Alabama too, right?
Yeah, I'm from like 20 minutes north of Sanford. So, man, honestly, like I was committed to when I was in high school, I was committed to Southern Miss for a while. I almost actually went to Western Kentucky too, since we just got Kentucky. Talking about Kentucky. And man, I ended up going to Sanford because it was just a spot that I felt like I could go there and play early, and ended up I redshirted my first year, then ended up starting my second year, like the third, fourth game in, and never looked back. But it was cool because like I was experienced to so many new things that that like I didn't even know was in Birmingham. Like when I was there at school, like I mean I was 20, 30 minutes from Birmingham, but there was so many places I'd never heard of that I ended up going, some different restaurants. So it was cool, man. The football side of it was awesome. Man, I was blessed to be able to, as a quarterback, be able to throw the ball like 100,000 times a game. So that was nice. So it was awesome experience for sure.
Did you break the FCS record for passing yards?
Yeah, so I broke Walter Payton. I mean, sorry, not Walter Payton. Steve McNair's all-time passing record. So your boy is the all-time passing leader for FCS, and I'll be honest. I think it may stay there a while, especially the way transfers and stuff happen nowadays. I mean, you legit. I mean, you gotta pretty much be a 4-year starter in FCS to break it. So I'm hoping that at least while I'm alive, I stay on top. I mean, it's gonna get broken eventually. It needs to, but man,
that's awesome.
Until I pass on, I hope I stay up there.
I don't know, man. Those are some pretty big numbers up there. So we'll see what happens. But you obviously went on to the NFL. You were an undrafted free agent at the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know my boy Benny Snell. Kind of talk to me about the experiences you've had there in Pittsburgh. And there's some other questions that I got after this. But just go ahead and tell me your experience in the NFL and what the league was like. comparing to maybe what you thought the league was going to be like?
Yeah, I mean, I will say this: I'm real good about never I don't ever really try to have expectations of stuff that I've never been a part of, and that's just with anything in general. But I mean, my experience in the league, man, especially my first year was pretty. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Like you said, I was undrafted, coming out of college, whatnot. I was like, man, I just broke the all-time record. I've had a bunch of teams talk to me. I was like, man. Maybe I luck up, get drafted in 6th, 7th round, and then I was like, but for sure I'll get some teams to sign me as a free agent. Well, man, after the draft was over, I had no teams want to sign me as a free agent or anything. I had the New York Giants. They called me, invited me to a tryout, and the Pittsburgh Steelers called and invited me to a tryout. And the New York Giants was the week before the Pittsburgh Steelers, so I went to New York. I did really well there. They ended up not signing me, and then next weekend I went to Pittsburgh, and this was the tryout, rookie mini camp kind of deal. And at the third day, I was balling out. I was like, man, dude, I hope they sign me, because they had their fourth quarterback that they had signed in the offseason. It was what was his name? Brogan Roback, the dude. That guy
dude from Hard Knocks.
Yeah, Hard Knocks. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, that guy. He was there, and they ended up letting him go and signing me. And so, man, I was at that point, man, I was just happy to be part of an organization and just to kind of experience it. And I went through the summer with them, did really well, came back to camp, and I just told myself, man, I got nothing to lose. Man, go out there and just have fun and sling it around. And I ended up doing that all camp and all preseason. And I was really, really thinking, man, I think I really do think they're gonna keep me, because cut day. Or the cut weekend, they usually have the big cut day on Saturday, and usually if you make it through Saturday, you get kept. Well, I made it through Saturday, so I'm like, man, bro, I feel good about this. Well, Sunday, they ended up cutting me. And then I got pissed because I was like, damn, everyone else got cut yesterday, so all these teams have already claimed people and whatnot, so here I am. So they cut me on Sunday. I go back home. I was there a week. I was home for 2 weeks, and then, man, I was on the way to the airport to go to a tryout to the New York Jets. And on my way to the airport, the Steelers called and said, hey, we want to sign you back to the practice squad, because they had just traded Josh Dobbs away. I was like, so man, literally on my way to the airport, I whipped it around, went back home, packed a bag, and then went back to the airport and went to Pittsburgh. And man, that's when things got crazy, because it was Ben, Mason, Rudolph, and then me. Well, the next week, I'm up, I'm on practice squad, I was at the game up in the stands. I'm still getting moved in. So honestly, at halftime, I left. I left the stadium at halftime, because we were, like I said, our practice squad, we were up in the stands. I was like, man, I got to leave, because I had to go finish moving in. I had nothing moved in. I had to go pick up a bed. And when I get to my truck, my phone's blowing up with texts. Dude, Ben's hurt. Ben's hurt. Are you going, are you on the field? I'm like, what? What do you mean? And I guess I'd missed where Ben had, I guess, fucked up his arm, and I was on the way home, and then the next day they called me up to the 53-man roster as the backup, and then 2 weeks later, Mason Rudolph got knocked out against the Ravens, and I went in, and we should have won the game in overtime, and then first start Sunday Night Football. This is where it gets cool, because my first start was Sunday Night Football against the Chargers in LA. We ended up winning. I threw my first touchdown pass to James Conner. And then we had a bye week. So literally I came back to Pittsburgh for 2 days. We practiced, and then boom, we got to go home. Well, I flew to Canada to go duck hunting for 4 or 5 days. So in a 10-day span, I had my first NFL start, and then I was able to go duck hunting. So that was probably the coolest 10 days of my life. And came back. Mason Rudolph was back from a concussion. He played a couple of games, and then he kind of struggled. They ended up putting me back in against the Bengals, and me and Benny had a real good game together against the Bengals that week, and then I ended up starting the rest of the season, man. And next year was on the practice squad, and then went to the Rams for a little bit, got cut by them, and went to CFL last fall. So, man, it was a crazy, crazy cool experience. And I mean, Pittsburgh, I'll no matter what. I mean, I wish I was still there. I feel like I should still be there. I feel like I'm still better than some of the quarterbacks in the league. But at the end of the day, man, Pittsburgh Steelers always kind of a special place in my heart, because they literally let me live out my dream. And I took the money from that, bought a duck camp in Arkansas, and man, it's been a big blessing for sure.
That's awesome, man.
Awesome.
I know you're one of the more beloved quarterbacks that's been coming through Pittsburgh in the last couple of years, and obviously, after Big Ben retires and they bring in Mitch Trubisky and they draft Kenny Pickett, that was one thing I was going to ask you. Now, looking at the situation there in Pittsburgh right now, I mean, the offense not really looking too hot. I mean, you play the Browns last week and somehow they get beat by the Browns. I don't know how in the world that happens, to be quite honest with you. I'm coming from a Browns fan. Literally just sitting there. Me and him were actually watching the game. I was like, watch this game. I'm telling you, they pissed it away against the Jets last weekend. They're going to find a way to lose this game right here. But it just seems like there's not a lot of, chemistry with Trubisky and the receivers. And he seems like a guy that, doesn't take, more of a risk than what he does. I mean, if you look at his touchdowns compared to his interceptions, his interceptions are low, but also his touchdown passes and completions are really low as well compared to, let's say, a guy like Big Ben or a guy like Brett Favre who, maybe have a couple more interceptions there, but at least he's not afraid to throw it. When you look at the situation there in Pittsburgh right now, and you've got a guy in Kenny Pickett who obviously, the one of the more beloved quarterbacks, to come after you. Everybody loves him there. He's a Pittsburgh guy, went to Pitt.
Yep.
You start hearing the Kenny chants. What are some of the things you're seeing there, in that quarterback room?
Man, yeah. I mean, obviously they drafted Kenny Pickett in the first round, so you imagine that, I mean, to me, you don't draft a quarterback in the first round for him not to be your guy. And, I do know from experience, it's definitely a little bit faster game and whatnot. But at the same time, man, it's still football. You still got a 10-yard completion in college is still a 10-yard completion in the NFL as far as throwing and whatnot. And I mean, Kenny played at Pitt, played in the SEC, in the ACC, sorry. And man, I imagine Kenny's probably ready to go. But man, when they got Mitch, man, I really did think he, and I still think he's got a chance to be good for Pittsburgh. I really do. But man, it's tough to say because dude, you gotta. It's hard. I don't care what anybody says. When you got your own fans kind of pulling against you. I mean, it's hard to play good. It really is. I mean, when you're the quarterback and you're hearing the backup quarterback's name be chanted in the stadium, man, it's a hard pill to swallow. But I mean, man, I know Coach Tomlin. First of all, Coach Tomlin is he's the OG, man. I love Coach Tomlin.
That's what everybody says, man. They say everybody loves him.
That was going to be my next question.
Man, he's one of my favorite coaches I've ever been, ever had. Man, he hasn't had a losing season in Pittsburgh in the NFL ever, which is pretty fucking cool. And I mean, dude, they got, like I said, they got a new quarterback, they got a new OC, Coach Canada. He's been getting a lot of damn heat. But man, when he was there the last year I was there, and man, I love Coach Canada. I think he's got some really cool shit going on. He's got a good offensive scheme. But I mean, he's also new in the NFL. I mean, yeah, he was there the year before as a kind of as a QB assistant, whatnot. But man, I just feel when you got a quarterback that's been there, I think Ben was there for 18 years or whatever, and you come in. I mean, they got a whole. I don't think people realize. Besides the receivers, they essentially got a whole new offense. They got none of the linemen that they had. I mean, they had Pouncey and Ramon Foster and Dave DeCastro and Al Villanueva and all these other people that were there for 10 years each. It's going to take a little time to kind of get everything going. I think they're going to be all right, man. I really do. The defense is so good. I just think they need a little time because preseason's completely different than the damn regular season. I mean, anybody can look good in the preseason. But like I say, man, they're 3 weeks in. I think they're going to be all right. Dude, there's a lot of damn football left. And here's the thing. All you got to do is make the playoffs. You ain't got to go 16-0 or 17-0, how many other games they're playing. You just got to make the playoffs and get hot at the right time. So I know, I'm sure fans are frustrated because, Trubisky's probably not playing as well as, they want him to and this and that. But, man, we'll see. I mean, obviously, if Trubisky isn't performing, Tomlin's and them, they're going to give Pickett a chance. I mean, they didn't draft him not to sit there and not have a chance. So
yeah, they're going to find a way to win.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to find a way to Coach Tomlin's always saying by any means necessary. So he does not care how we win. He does not care. He just wants to get out of the stadium. Like he wants to get out of the stadium with a W, and he don't care how it happens. He don't care if they win 2-0. Defense gets the safety. They just want to win. So no, they're gonna figure it out, man. It's gonna be cool to see. I'm ready to see my boy Benny though getting there. Man, I got an awesome Benny Snell story if you want to hear it.
I would love to hear an awesome Benny Snell story. I got plenty to tell.
Man,
I'd love
like
to hear
the
one.
rookie minicamp, man. So obviously, like I'm a little nervous because like I'm undrafted and I'm like, man, I got to go out. Like I was nervous, but like I knew I didn't have anything to lose. And man, like when I get in there in the huddle, and literally every time I called a play, didn't matter if it was a run play, pass play, it didn't matter what it was. Benny Snell's like looking. He's always looking at me in the eyes. He's like, oh yeah. Let's go, yeah. And man, dude, Benny Snell. From that day on, I had so much respect for Benny Snell. I don't know what it was like in college, but that dude.
Same way, man. I'm telling you, that dude. He practiced pissed off, Hodge. I mean, I'm telling you, he would hate like when dudes would tackle him. Like I would come through and thud him up on a 3-yard gain, but he wasn't pissed that I thudded him up. He was pissed he only got a 3-yard gain.
Yeah.
So like he just stayed pissed off throughout practice and to just try to literally run through anybody's fucking face, whether it be on a swing right out of the backfield, whether it be, a zone play up the middle, or whether we're having a gap scheme, anything like that. I mean, that guy was, like you saying, he's once he steps on that fucking field or in that meeting room, I mean, he is locked the fuck in, man. But yeah, go ahead, finish your story. I started to interrupt you there.
No, it was pretty much like, man, like he literally, like Benny Snell gave me, especially a rookie minicamp. I don't even think he knows this, man, but he calmed my nerves and made me so much more confident in that rookie minicamp because he was in the huddle just like, yeah, like, let's go. And like, man, I remember like the first time I called a play, I was like looking at him like, damn. I was like, fuck yeah, let's go then. Like, let's go. So like, that's my Benny. It's kind of one of those gotta be there moments, but like that dude, like, I don't think he understands like how much like he kind of calmed me down during the rookie minicamp. And man, like I balled out rookie minicamp. That's why they kept me. But man, Benny Snell, man, he's my boy, dude. I still hit him up all the time, catch in. Man, he's obviously a Kentucky legend, dude, and man, he's good people.
He's a great guy, man. I mean, I remember last year, me and him. He has a youth camp that he does every single year here in Lexington, and he texted me on the first year he had it, and he was like, "Hey, I'd love for you to come help." And I was like, "Yeah, man." I said, "Ain't no problem at all." He goes, "How much you want me to pay you?" And I was like, "Dude, you ain't got to fucking pay me anything. I'll come help your your youth camp, no problem at all." He was like, "All right, bet, I got you." And literally after the camp, probably a week, maybe 2 weeks later, my doorbell rings and I go open the door and there's these 3 huge ass shipment box containers full of Under Armour gear. I'm talking 3, 4, 5 pairs of shoes. I'm talking 10, 12 t-shirts, 6, 12 shorts, joggers, hoodies, like all the UA hunt stuff too.
Yeah.
UA fishing, like all that stuff. He went out of his way to make sure I was taken care of. And, Benny was, when we came in together, he was in the same class as me. And, we always kind of looked at each other like, I'm going to take care of shit on offense. You take care of shit on defense. And it's like, we always hit it off good. But he's good people, man. I mean, that's awesome to hear that, people in the league got to see that side of Benny as well. And, he's always a great dude, man. But one more question I got for football side of things before we got to talk a little hunting, man. I mean, we ain't going to come in here and talk football all the time. I got to talk a little hunting with you. But throughout football's history since it began, obviously there's been some pretty violent stuff that happens out there on that field. I mean, that's what the nature of the game is. It's violent. You've seen some guys do some stuff, maybe after the play. Maybe I've done some stuff, after the play.
I feel like I know where this may be going.
I'm too proud of. But what was it like?
I know where this is going.
What was it like seeing someone commit attempted murder on one of your teammates out there, Myles Garrett taking a swing at Mason Rudolph like that? I mean, that had to be one of the moments like, what in the fuck is going on kind of moment. So what was that like?
All right, so man, when people hear this, I don't want them to take this the wrong way. Obviously, I was like, man, what the fuck? But then, like, back in my mind, I was like, man, knock him out, because I was like, I'm trying to go in. I'm trying to go in, like, I'm trying by any means, like Coach Thomas says, by any means, like, I'm trying to go in and play. But man,
Ruthless NFL, man.
that's
awesome.
what I tell people, man, and I mean that. Like, obviously, I don't want any injuries or whatnot. But that was kind of like, damn, like knock him out, let's go. But man, that was like wild, dude. That was crazy. Obviously, like, man, I was making league minimum, which I mean, still a lot of fucking money. But I remember like all kinds of guys running out in the field, and I was like, man, I feel like if I step out in the field, I'm gonna get fined. I ain't trying to lose any money, so I just like I was like, I'm gonna wait till people come this way, and man, all that happened and whatnot, and what was crazy is like that was a Thursday night game, so we had the weekend off. I remember like the next morning, I was getting on a plane, and I left Pittsburgh, and I think I flew to like Chicago, and man, like in the Chicago airport, the shit was everywhere. Like that's all you saw on all the TVs, like. And I'm thinking, like, man, like motherfuckers are watching this, and like they don't really know. Like, man, I was right there. Like, I was watching the shit go down. Man, it was crazy though. That was obviously the most wild, I guess, event after the play scuffle that I've ever not only seen, but kind of somewhat was a part of.
Right. You had Pouncey coming back, dropping knees on Myles Garrett. You had dudes coming in swinging hot. I mean, I can only imagine if that happened to one of my teammates. I mean, you saw last weekend, but the weekend before, what happened in the Bucks and Saints game. When Marshawn Lattimore and Mike Evans get into it. And obviously, they've had some history before. Mike literally ran across the entire fucking field and hit him with a forearm shiver right in the back, and then exit to 5 years later. Things happen the way they do, and you see teammates come out and start sticking up for their boys and everything. But I ain't gonna lie to you, Duck. I mean, if I see a guy like Myles Garrett out there, swinging a helmet around, using it as a weapon, I might be like, hey, you're gonna have to come in from the backside. We might have to, strategically plan this, how we gonna get this motherfucker down, because one of us comes straight up with him. He's got a helmet. Our odds, not too good. So I mean, that was
your
one of
ass
the crazy.
by that student at the Texas game the other day.
Oh yeah, did you see that shit, dude? Where the Texas Tech beat Texas, and so Texas Tech rushes the field, and Texas players are walking off, and obviously motherfuckers are throwing horns down at them all the time, which I'm glad they did. But not one thing I'm glad that didn't happen though, and I don't know how this kid didn't just kill everybody after this, but some kid from Texas Tech that was in the stands, literally like you see him like run one way, and then he sticks his foot in the ground and like beelines to the back of this Texas player and just knocks the living shit out of him from the back, like fucking decleats him. So I don't know how, the entire University of Texas football team just didn't turn around and start throwing haymakers everywhere. But, that was literally like seeing that happen live on TV with Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph. I was like, damn, dude. I mean, that dude just got back from, one of the worst concussions I've ever seen on a hit.
Yeah.
And now you're trying to put a dent in his fucking head, man. Come on.
Man, what was crazy is like, dude, like, man, but like there were so many people on the sideline that literally, by the time you realize what the fuck was actually going on, you had like coaches already like, don't fucking run on the field, la la la, and it's like, dude, like what is going on? Like, did this dude like really just swing a helmet and try to like kill the guy? It's like, whoa, and man, it was.
What should have happened to him? What should have happened for him doing that? What should have happened to him?
As far as like his suspension,
suspension, fine. Like
he got suspended indefinitely, didn't he?
Yeah, he got suspended for the rest of the year. Which I mean, dude, I think that's pretty much fair. Like you get suspended for the rest of the year, you come back next year. Like, dude, I mean, the dude's it's not like the dude has done that multiple times. I think that's like the first time. I just want to know, like, man, I don't know, something like
what went through your head.
Yeah,
I'm not going to sit here and say what the speculations of what people saying what did and what didn't happen, but I would like to know,
I would like to know exactly what was said or what not.
I would like to know.
Something had to be said. Like, I mean, now he definitely did not say what Myles Garrett like came out and said. Like, because I mean, dude, literally, Myles Garrett came out like that happened on like a Thursday. Myles Garrett, I think, came out like the next day that afternoon and like was like, "Oh, he said this." It's like, well, dude, if he said that, you should have told us that last night. Like nobody on our team believed he said that. But man, there had to be some kind of jawing said because, dude, like I don't see how he just got set off like that.
No,
that was crazy, man.
big ass monster or not, like, how he's built. I mean, something like that, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that Mason Rudolph's a small guy, but when you're looking at him compared to Myles Garrett.
I mean, everyone's small compared to Myles Garrett. It was crazy though, because like all that went down, and man, I wish I could go back and see, like, from the time that started until because I think we had to do one more play after that. I think I think Cleveland had the ball and had to take a knee. I just wonder how long that time frame was, because like I feel like it went by so fast, but I feel like it also could have been like 30, 40 minutes before the play happened. I don't know.
I was watching it live. I mean, obviously, from the outside looking in, it was bizarre because I remember being like, are they about to like arrest him for this? Like, is this something that expands beyond football, right? And I remember just watching them calm it down because people had left the field. They had to bring y'all back out, calm everybody down, and take the next snap. So it was quite a while. I don't know if it was 30 or 40 minutes, but it was a while.
Bro, that's something else, man. So like, when everyone, like you said, a lot of people just went in the locker room, they had to bring back. Man, I was counting on the field. I was like, man, if there's only 10 guys on the field for Steelers,
I'm going.
I was about to hop out there at like DB or something, because because in the NFL you get player performance, so you get like at the end of the year you get so many dollars. Like I think I got like $500 per snap I was in, and I was like, shit, that's $500 if I can just hop out there real quick and stand there. But no, they had everybody out there that it needed.
That's a couple loads of duck shells right there for that $500.
Dude. That's like half a tank of gas right now too.
Yeah,
Speaking of how big he is, how did he fit in that little ass Porsche he wrecked the other day? He's a big dude. He drives that little Porsche. Y'all saw the wreck, right?
Yeah.
That he had. He drives a little ass car.
I have no idea. I mean, shit. You got Shaq doing different commercials
joking,
like that.
But still, he's a tiny dude. I mean, it's
probably modified. But
let's
shift over. Go ahead.
Real quick. That whole thing. What was cool about that whole thing is it like set the tone for 2 weeks later when we played the Browns at home, and that was my first start at Heinz Field for a home game. So like, man, it was all cool how it all came together. And then like when we played the Browns 2 weeks later, we beat them. But yeah, let's switch over to hunting.
Let's transition over to hunting. So obviously, as I said in the intro, 2-time duck calling champion, 1 junior world duck calling champion, 1 Alabama state duck calling champion. I have this little series that I'm trying to get going right now called Off Season. That's where I take current, former, professional, collegiate athletes out into the outdoors. I had an episode with Josh Allen, now defensive end for the Jaguars, and I took Jamin Davis, who was my roommate when we would go to the hotels on Friday nights before games. I took him fishing, and I actually got to take Ethan Wolf. He's down there in Nashville. I got to hang out with him every time I come down there. I took him turkey hunting. We got that on footage as well. We'll be coming out with that probably in February. But
as a matter of fact, I think I've seen the video of that turkey getting shot.
Oh, the kill shot?
Yeah, I think he sent me that
thing's
one.
So fucking pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the most prettier kill shots. I'm not trying to toot my own horn about it, but my cameraman David. Fuck, Cash talk. Cameraman David. He shoots like weddings and different things like that. But he was an outdoor freelancer. Like he'll go out and like take pictures of birds and shit. Like deer walking across grass fields or whatnot. I was like, I met up with him and I pitched him that idea. And to be quite honest with you, man, it's some of the high quality hunting content that we have out there. So I'm really excited to get that out there for people to see. But for me as an athlete, like that was the only time that I ever got to enjoy the outdoors in the off season. So that's why I call it off season. Growing up in Alabama, I'm sure you're the same way. I mean, I was taught to hunt and fish before I was ever taught how to throw a football. So walk me through what the outdoors means to you, duck hunting in particular, or just the outdoors in general, man. What's it mean to you?
Man, I mean, I literally, like, I tell people all the time, like, if tomorrow, if I knew today was, like, my last day on earth, whatever, there's no doubt I'm going duck hunting with my dad, my brother, and my closest friends. It really does mean everything to me. I mean, I don't think, man, I'm very fortunate that my family, like, grew up hunting. And then, like, when I say that, man, I didn't start duck hunting until I was about, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old. Like our big thing was deer hunting from the time I was, 4 or 5 till we started duck hunting. I mean, our family tradition was to go to Thanksgiving lunch, and then the afternoon head to the deer camp for the weekend. Hey man, then like we ended up started duck hunting one year, and like I think the first duck hunt we went on, it was me, my dad, my granddad, and my brother. We shot one duck, and man, we thought it was the coolest shit ever. Like, man, we shot one duck, and like now, if I shoot one duck, I'm like, man, fuck duck hunting. But man, dude, I mean, it means so much to me. It's, I mean, obviously the nickname Duck and whatnot, and being a world champion duck caller, it's all kind of, for me, it's all kind of intertwined with the whole football thing. If I didn't duck hunt, if I didn't have the nickname Duck and wasn't the world champion duck caller, when I got to Pittsburgh, like I'm, and there ain't nothing wrong with just Devlin Hodges, but I ain't Duck Hodges. I don't have all the people buying duck hats and duck calls in the stadium. So, the just hunting, man, it's obviously, man, it's a getaway from life. It's something that you can go and just, really clear your mind. I mean, nothing's better than just being out in the woods and not having to worry about anything else except, pulling the trigger or, calling the ducks in. I mean, obviously there's times where you get frustrated and stuff while you're hunting, but man, the worst day in the woods beats your best day of work. And I say
Absolutely.
that, I'll be honest, I would rather go duck hunting than play football. I mean, it just means so much to me. It's something that I can, do with my friend, with my closest friends, with my family. And man, it's kind of given me opportunities, especially now that I'm not playing football, to do, some podcast stuff, some YouTube stuff, and have some brands behind me. And I'm very fortunate enough that I can work with some of these brands. Man, it means a lot, man. And, I really do. I feel bad for the guys that have never been, or the girls that have never been, just the people that have never, man, to me, and I'm sure you feel the same way, man, something about a sunrise versus, I mean, everyone sees sunsets, man, but something about a sunrise and like watching, I always say kind of, watching God turn on his lights and everything come to life, man. It's special, dude. It's something
Watching the world wake up. That's what I tell people.
Yeah, it's something definitely don't take for granted, and it's something I enjoy.
I feel the exact same way, man. I mean, obviously, like I told you before, I'm not big into waterfowl hunting as of late, obviously, just because of flyways here in Kentucky and whatnot. But, my thing's turkey hunting, just because, one, there's nothing in the world that gets me more fired up now than hearing one gobble off a limb. I mean, just hearing that gobble, hearing old Bob Ross up there strutting his shit on that limb, trying to find him a honey for the day, and him just hollering off left and right, especially. Hell, I mean, I hunt down there in Murfreesboro. So, I mean, I've been down there plenty of times down there hunting, and, just to see places that we hunt, see that sunrise come over top of that, that golden hayfield and that fog coming across. Yep. I mean, you really can't beat it. It's something that, it's the best high, that I could ever imagine, just being out there being at peace and, being with people that, I truly find to be, genuine, great dudes. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I mean, that's some of the best people that I've ever met in my life is through hunting and fishing. And so 100%. To be able to make memories, nowadays through YouTube and, be able to have, the video aspect side of things. And, I still think about, when we took Ethan, and I'm sitting there, we went out to the store behind it is we met up in Nashville the night before, and or we didn't meet up there. We went out in Nashville and we told him to be at the house at like 4:45 or whatever. Dude, we roll in that house. We roll back in the ties at like 4:05, 4:15. Like, hey, let's get this cup of coffee and let's go. And then he'll probably still give me shit about falling asleep out there, literally laying out on the ground while he shot his turkey. But it's just something that like you said, that I wish the people that have never been out could actually go out and experience it and not look at it as like, only, rednecks and people do this. And like, no, dude, just go out and experience it for yourself. It's not about, the killing aspect of things. It's just being out there and being with yourself, being where your feet are and appreciating, everything God put upon us, take away all the big lights, take away football, take away, everything that, our lives revolve around nowadays, through social media and different things like that. This is what was here first. And so, for me, it's just an opportunity to where I can go back and, kind of hit the reset button, figuratively let my hair down, I guess, and kind of enjoy myself. But it's something that I'll never take for granted as well. But man, I sit there thinking, like, do you have duck calls, like the Devlin Hodges duck call series yet, or is that something you're trying to get cooking on?
Man, we worked on a few things. I ain't gonna necessarily start my own duck call company, but I am coming out with a signature series, like a Devlin Hodges Duck Hodges signature series, kind of call line through a company, kind of like I sat down with the guy, we kind of designed a call and everything, so that is coming out. But man, as far as like the whole duck calls, man, there's so many people making duck calls nowadays, and there's so many good duck calls that, like, man, that's just, I don't know if that's a business I want to get in, and because I'm friends with a lot of people. I don't want to step on too many people's toes, so I'm just going to do the signature series, and maybe start out with just maybe 150, number them 1 through 150, sign each one, and I don't know, I may sell 150 just to fans so I may have to end up making some more.
I'll tell you what, we'll do a trade-off. I'll send you a couple cash money 420 flipping jigs, and you send me a duck call and teach me how to use it.
Deal. That's easy money right there.
All right, one last question for you before we wrap up here, man. What is your best experience out in the woods as far as a particular duck hunt, a particular shot? What's your best moment out in the woods so far?
Man, probably it's the one that anytime somebody asks me, it's the first thing that comes to my head. Probably my last youth hunt I ever went on. It was just me and my dad. And it's kind of I got a cool story behind it all. So I was 15 years old. Last youth hunt, we were hunting up in North Alabama. We woke up that morning. So the youth hunt is usually like the first weekend in February. It's like after the season for ducks. This is a duck hunt youth hunt. Anyways, that morning I was still in high school. I guess I would have been in, I think, maybe 10th grade. Hell, I don't remember. I was playing baseball. So that morning we had a big state cook-off for like a fundraising event. Anyways, man, it was getting real cold and whatnot. And me and my dad had planned on going on this duck hunt this afternoon. Anyways, as soon as we got done with that, we went back to the house. I told my brother, I said, hey, like, my brother's like 2 years younger than me. I was like, hey, you gonna come with us on this youth hunt? I said, we'll kill a limit. He was like, no, I'm not gonna go. And I was just messing around, like, okay, well, I'm gonna go up there and shoot a band for both of us. Anyway, so we go up there, whatnot. We probably have like a mile walk in. We get set up. It's just me and my dad. I think I shoot 2 mallard greenheads to start out with. And I was literally like, because like, man, I had killed plenty of ducks that year in my life at that point. And I told my dad, I was like, hey, you want to shoot one of my ducks for me? And I was about to give him the gun to let him shoot one, even though that's pretty illegal. Good thing it didn't happen. Man, this black duck, which I mean, for those that are listening and don't know what a black duck is, it's essentially just a type of duck. You got mallards, wood ducks, black ducks. Anyways, a black duck where we were hunting, it's pretty like uncommon. And there was 2 of them. They kind of circled around. One went and landed like 100 yards down in the woods, and I was like, well, damn. I told my dad, I said, if this other one flies back around and if it gets close, like, I feel like I can shoot it, I said, I'm shooting it, because like I'd never killed a black duck. Anyways, it came back. It kind of just barely dipped in the hole, and I unloaded 3 shots on it. I hit it, and it was selling, so I was like, damn, I'm going to chase this motherfucker. Anyway, so I get to go in, and like I get to where I can see it, like 50, 60 yards away. It's belly up dead. I walk up to it. I'm like thinking in my head, like, man, what if this duck's banded? Anyways, I pick it up, and it's a banded black duck. So for those that aren't listening, a band on a duck is like essentially like killing like a 180 deer kind of in a way. It's like, it's just it's an awesome, cool experience. Anyways, I had a band on it. I walk back. I'm freaking out, shaking like, Dad, it's banded. I drop it. He's like, no, it's double banded. So the motherfucker had 2 bands on it. One band was like $100 reward band. Shot one more greenhead. Me and my dad walked back to the truck, and it was like it was like a sunny day, a beautiful sunset, like deers rolling, rocking all across the road. Had the limit of ducks in the band, and I mean that's definitely the one that I remember the most. It was pretty
awesome,
cool.
Man. That's awesome. Now they say now for duck hunting weather, you would rather have sunlight than it'd rather be dark and cloudy. Am I correct on saying that?
Man, It kind of depends on like I guess the where you're hunting. Like where we hunt, like I like hunting flooded timber, and yes, I want it to be as sunny as can be. But man, some people prefer cloudy and rainy if they're hunting, like a flooded cornfield or like a dry field or something. I mean, man, really, you just want cold, a good wind, and a bunch of birds around. I mean, if you got good wind and birds around it, to me it don't. It helps to have sunshine, but it just kind of depends.
And we appreciate Devlin taking the time to sit down with us. Well, didn't really sit down with us. It was a virtual interview, but thank him for the time that he took for talking with us. Always a great time to talk with him. Let's get down into this week's preview matchup against the Kentucky Wildcats and the Ole Miss Rebels. Number 7, Kentucky taking on number 14, Ole Miss at the Grove. Noon kickoff. Todd, you've already expressed your anger at the fact it is a noon kickoff.
11 a.m. kickoff.
I've expressed mine. Yeah, technically 11. Noon for us.
Chick-fil-A is going to have stopped serving breakfast 30 minutes before kickoff.
Chick-fil-A. I'm still thinking McDonald's, cuz.
Oh, no.
That's Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah, don't get it.
You can tell you're straight.
You need that spicy chicken burrito from Chick-fil-A. You can literally pick it up at 10:30, walk strstraight into the stadium.
I want a big-ass McGriddle as I'm coming out.
Oh, those
big greasy McGriddle with a big chicken biscuit.
That's Eastern Kentucky.
Get your big hash brown, man. Get that sweet tea, boy.
You take that over Chick-fil-A?
I'll take McDonald's.
We didn't have no damn Chick-fil-A growing up, son.
Oh, man. All right.
We didn't grow up. We didn't grow up in the flatland.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Dude, I remember going to visit like where my mom was from, and like it was like McDonald's and like a Super 6 motel.
Yeah, you
And,
got.
like,
Here's the thing. So we'll go ahead and break down Eastern Kentucky fast food restaurants for everybody. You have McDonald's, if you're lucky. You got Wendy's, Taco
Denny's.
Bell, maybe a Fazoli's. That's a big maybe.
Denny's.
No.
What?
Hardee's. No, we got a Huddle House, bub.
Oh yeah.
That's what we got. That's what we ain't even got a fucking Waffle House.
Yeah, no Waffle
we
House.
got Huddle House. Like huddle up, ready, break.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah.
What's the chicken? KFC. That's all we have. There's no Popeyes. There's no
Zaxby's.
Cane's. There's no
Zaxby's.
None of that. Would you consider Subway, I guess, fast food?
Yeah,
You got
yeah,
Subway.
Subway. And then you always have your typical like
So what-
good barbecue
has a steak and
restaurant.
shake.
Yeah, they do. That was the biggest one.
Yeah.
When Pikeville came out with it. Remember when they came out with their Texas Roadhouse and everybody thought like Pikeville was like New York City?
Still to this day popping. Been there 10 years.
Oh, my God. So
Call
wait,
ahead
when
seating all day.
you moved here, what,
Call
14,
ahead
15?
seating.
I moved here 10 years ago, so 2012. I
12.
guess. Yeah.
Okay. So when you moved in 2012, what was your treat yourself like?
Peking.
Really?
Yeah, Peking.
Chinese.
Yeah. Oh, remember the hibachi?
Hibachi. Yeah,
Remember
they tried
hibachi
to-
came
No,
out?
no. I'm saying when you moved to Lexington.
Oh, treat myself here in
what
Lexington.
was you like? Oh, thank God they have one of these.
Mine was cookout.
Oh, man.
I bet it was.
Mine was cookout.
I bet it
bro.
still is too.
No, it ain't
You can
still.
go spend $6 there and get page 3 of the menu.
Which
Dude,
I
you
don't
know,
bar
you-
with Eastern Kentucky.
No problem at all. You know what my favorite
Don't
is.
hate
We
on
visited
cookout. Cookout's fire.
last weekend.
That's true.
So my favorite thing here was
That's true.
I wanted cane. I love canes, man. I can eat canes breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Canes over Zaxby's.
Cane's
Cane's
so-
over Zaxby's.
Cane's
better-
over
Cane's got
Zaxby's
better-
all
all
day,
day.
Cane's
bro.
got better chicken, but I like Zaxby's fries.
I'm kind of biased. I got super sick one time off Zaxby's, so
Fair enough.
I think
Fair enough all
Zaxby's
day.
chicken's too dry.
That's what I'm saying. I'll take the Cane's chicken.
Even
with
though
Zaxby's
Cane's
sauce.
is like scorching hot, like that's what I want my fried chicken to be.
Zaxby's menu's better. I will
cane
say.
sauce.
More
hits
options.
harder than
Smacks.
anything.
But
Zach's spicy sauce is better than Cane's
I
sauce.
feel like cane
It
sauce.
is.
Get out of here.
It is.
There's
This
no
isn't even
shot.
up for debate.
Okay,
Cane sauce
next
is
week,
what only
next
makes it
week
good.
we're doing blind tasting.
Yeah.
Fine by me.
Next week we're doing
No
blind
problem.
tastings.
I can pick
Cane's
that out
food
like
is
that.
only good with that sauce. That sauce makes the food.
Get out of here, Parker.
Dude, the fries are.
The fries
Boys,
are not comparable.
Have
to
you
Zaxby's.
not been able to make the chicken finger sandwich with the bread
Yes.
that they give you?
Yes, now that's fire.
I
But
mean, is Cane's able to do that? Cane's is able to do that.
Yes.
Zaxby's?
Zaxby's
Yes,
literally
Zaxby's
has a
has
nibbler
sliders.
sandwich.
No,
that is-
I'm talking about you order a 3-piece combo.
Yes, you can do that.
Not as good with that bread. Zaxby's bread sucks. compared
Okay,
to-
All
Well,
right,
yeah,
you and I are
obviously
having
that's-
Zaxby's next week. You two can have Cane's.
The Texas-
No, we're doing blind tastings of like which is better.
I don't need to do
the
that. But I'm
the
fine. Let's do
breads,
it.
I will say, Cane's bread is way better than Zaxby's.
That's
Thank
true
you.
too. Okay,
But like
okay,
that's
okay,
it.
okay.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, but you can still
chicken-
order a chicken sandwich. At
Even
Zaxby's.
the
You
chicken
can't do that
isn't
at
really
Cane's.
that good.
But here's the thing: you make it with your own hands, it means a lot more to you.
Oh my
Oh.
God! Here we go. Go kill the chicken with your own hands.
Don't kill me. I'll ring one motherfucker.
You can tell who's the hunter in this group and just who isn't.
Fraudulent.
Weren't we just talking about Ole Miss?
We were talking about Ole Miss.
I mean, Jesus Christ.
Bring us
we got
back.
off on
Bring
fried
us back.
chicken. So
Oh,
Kentucky,
I'm taking us off on a tangent on the way out of this thing, too.
that's
Go
fine.
ahead.
Whatever.
Go ahead.
UK +7. What do we think about that?
Love it.
Yeah, we cover. I think we win that game. Well, I'm gonna. Can I transition into the next topic with this answer?
Yeah.
Ole Miss's helmets.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Give them several points.
All right. Now, this is something I did want to talk about.
They get several points.
We
For
talked
those-
about
for
this
people
before
that don't
you
know,
got here. Because
this episode hopefully will be out by Friday. For people that don't get on Twitter or don't know anything going on about it, Tyler Jordan from Realtree Outdoors, Ole Miss alum. I'm pretty sure Bill's an Ole Miss alum too. Bill, his dad, was actually the guy that actually taught me how to turkey hunt. Not personally, but I would wake up literally every Saturday morning and watch Bill Jordan on the TV teaching me how to hunt deer and hunt turkey. So, Big Bill, shout out to you, brother. But Tyler's always been a big Ole Miss fan, and I've seen some of the, I guess you call it, prototype
mock-ups.
mock-ups that they have, different designs and things like that of the Ole Miss helmet. Like they had the Ole Miss helmet in the timber pattern, then they had it in their edge pattern. Todd, I know you're not a big outdoorsman, so this is different. But so Tyler Jordan has teamed up with Realtree. Tyler Jordan has teamed up with Ole Miss, and they're bringing out a Realtree camo helmet. Now that
it's nasty.
is
nasty,
filthy,
especially with that light blue in there.
filthy,
nasty.
dude. Actually, here's my thing, dude. You don't know that Ole Miss was my dream school?
I didn't.
Ole Miss was my dream school. I don't know
You
what
didn't
it
get
was.
recruited?
No, they never
Really?
recruited me. But Ole Miss was my dream school. I think it was something about that light blue helmet that they had, not the dark one. The light blue helmet with that cherry red on the side, the Grove. Obviously, you hear that Ole Miss has probably some of the most beautiful women on earth down there. So I think that's one of the reasons why I want to go there. But
These helmets are crazy.
yeah, but Realtree camo helmets. I'm gonna have to reconsider this +7. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's up there. That's kind of like Tennessee coming out that one year in black jerseys on Halloween.
Yeah, that was nasty too. But do you like okay, so like Oregon goes over the top, right? Oregon does like all these crazy designs and stuff. Like I love their uniforms, but sometimes it's a bit crazy, right? Ole Miss is like
It depends what uniforms they're going to wear 'em
this
with.
is the line though. That's true.
They can't wear them with the powder blue because if they, the powder blue
Oh, yeah.
jerseys they have.
Oh, yeah.
If they wear that with that helmet, it would be too much. If they do it right with like the red jersey or a white jersey, then
I don't even know that I'm gonna even notice what color their jerseys are.
Yeah.
Those helmets are sick. But I do agree
those
with
helmets
you.
are sick.
I do agree with you. You can't have too much going on.
2 cool helmets this week. Bengals get to wear their white helmets too.
I did see that. They're going to come up with the white ones.
Yeah.
Paintsville had that back in the day.
Really?
We had a white helmet with blue tiger stripes coming down the side of it.
Oh, that's tough.
Did you
was
see their
hard.
football hype video?
Who?
Paintsville's?
That was Pikeville.
Pikeville.
Oh, and they had
Their new
the
jerseys.
Air Jordan jerseys.
Yeah.
Dude, where they flew in on like a helicopter and stuff.
Yeah, whoever made that video needs to be fired. But anyways, that's besides the point. So let's get down into some Week 5 college football picks. One thing, the first game I'm going to look at is Texas Tech at number 25, Kansas State. Kansas State -7.5. This is a noon kickoff on ESPN Plus. For me, I'm just looking at this game. I know that Texas Tech coming off a big win last week against Texas, but I believe that Kansas State's going to win this game. I'm going to say 31-28, fail to cover the spread. Todd, what's your first game you're looking forward to?
I'm staying in the SEC because that's who I know the most about, to be honest with you. But, I mean, Georgia's a given against Missouri. Where's the other one I had up here? You got Texas A&M over Mississippi State. That's, I think, a pretty easy pick. But what are your thoughts on – hang on. Done lost it. We're going to have to cut this for a second.
Alabama, Arkansas.
Yeah, well, Alabama, Arkansas is a given, too. There's one I had it marked. Where the hell did it
I
go?
don't know, man.
Oh, it wasn't SEC. It was NC State Clemson. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
NC State Clemson. Well, last week, Clemson, they pulled one off against Wake Forest. Is it at Clemson?
It's at Clemson. I don't know the
So
spread.
Dabo's going to be running a 4-2 down that fucking hill. Making
That
sure,
video is hilarious.
making sure that he's the first guy to be seen coming
He
out the
does
tunnel.
come out of there
He comes out of there hot.
hot.
Okay. Would you guys want that as a head coach?
I don't mind it with him, but in most
But he
cases,
just
no.
started doing it.
Yeah, in most cases, no.
Did he just start doing it?
He just started doing it. Like, I think last year he might have did it one
I
time.
don't know if he means to do it or if it's like a adrenaline thing. It doesn't bother
Oh, he
me.
definitely
I think
means
he's
to
gonna
do
fall at some point.
it.
100%
He's-
he's
I
gonna
mean,
fall.
did you see how? No, it's not the
Like, he
point
was
where he's
cooking.
like boys. He is literally sprinting
He's
down that
full
hill.
fit.
The
Yeah.
thing is, it's about 5 seconds in. It's no longer his decision. Like he has to continue to be running. Like,
Yeah.
like he has no. He has no.
If he pumps the brakes,
yeah,
the hamstring's
yeah.
going.
That
It's
might,
not.
that might
both
be
knees going out.
That might be why. Like his knees might be so bad. He knows like
Well, they're gonna get
if he
worse at
keeps
the current
going
rate.
going slow down that hill.
I mean,
just
and I
putting
get
weight.
at the fact that you're running down with 105 stampeding bulls behind you. So one mishap and you fall,
You're toast.
you're over with. It's done.
'Cause-
Either you're rolling down the hill, getting trampled on,
No
or you
one's
get
stopping.
stuck,
Yeah.
and these dudes are really jumping off some parts of the hill and landing right on top of you.
I think it continues until he falls.
Clemson -7, by the way, is the spread.
Clemson -7 against NC State. I'm gonna take Clemson. in that
I'll
game.
take Clemson.
Yeah, at home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and let's look at Texas A&M at Mississippi State. Mississippi State unranked with a 3-point favorite against number 17 Texas A&M. Now, we know the Aggies' reward for last week's victory against Arkansas is a 3-point underdog road trip to Starkville, Mississippi. Todd, you had.
I don't want to talk about that.
You absolutely love Starkville.
I don't want to
don't
talk
you?
about that. I got reamed harder for that tweet than I had. I tweeted it. Okay.
Okay, here's another segment. Explain that tweet.
I tweeted about Starkville in a playful banter. Didn't we talk about this a couple weeks ago?
Did we talk about this on the show?
There's
I think we
nothing
did.
playful.
We might
about
have-
Starksville.
I tweeted about Starkville in a joking manner, bantering against Mississippi State fans for over a basketball game a few years ago, and I got absolutely reamed for it. It's not about the city. It's playful banter with sports, but
Is it though?
I can understand how it was taken personally, and so I'm gonna bite my tongue on this one. But Starkville is a tough place to play. All jokes aside, those cowbells. It's a loud stadium. I went down there to see you play. Actually,
Dude, I'm telling you, I got PTSD from cowbells.
Yeah,
Like, if I go to a cow farm now, like coyote hunt or anything, and I hear those big dang-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, I'm literally like look up. I'm like, holy shit, I'm back in Starkville.
I did not like the cowbells. I don't like the Texas A&M stuff. Especially the whole bing, that thing they do with the sailor.
How'd that go?
Bing.
One more time,
The
No, I'm not doing
yelling
it
crowd of A&M. That's hilarious.
dude. I'm telling you, that was
A&M, Starkville's. No,
I will
both
tell
of
you
those
this.
are terrible. And then what's the Gamecock? pretty
the
annoying.
rooster.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
and that's what kills me.
Wait, did they name him the Cock Commander?
Yeah, something
I
like
hope
that.
not.
something
Is
like
that?
I think they actually did.
And people are always talking about Kentucky, and they're like, "You're from Kentucky," and it's like, "Yeah." And
Yeah,
then you see
motherfucker.
schools like
Yeah, mother-
A&M doing the yell thing, and
Grove Street, by God.
Starkville. It's like, ugh.
Hey, you know what? It's a tough place to play. It is.
Very tough.
It is.
It's one of the toughest places.
It's a
to
big
play.
stadium too,
It's a
right?
huge stadium, hostile environment, one of the toughest places to play in all of college football. But going back to Texas A&M, I thought Texas A&M was probably one of the coolest experiences of my college career.
Really?
Going down there and playing in the 12th
Well,
man.
that's
That shit's real, dog. I mean, that I've never heard a place get that loud to where we're usually pretty good with hand signals and shit out there, being able to, talk with everybody if you're in a close concept with someone. But I couldn't even yell to my defensive line to move. I would literally have to go up there and like physically move them with my hands saying, get in this gap, get in that gap. Or I'm usually yelling, hey, Phil, A gap. And then he'd slide over.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm having to go down there with it being so loud. You can't even hear yourself think.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that gives them one of their advantages. But, for me, I think that, I think Texas A&M goes down there and wins, whether it be by 3, whether it be by 5, I think they cover the spread on that one. If they're +3, I think they cover the spread, go down there to start, won't get it done. But, Mike Leach, high-powered, talented offense, Will Rogers still back there slinging the rock, who knows? I mean, this is a Texas A&M team that a couple weeks ago did get beat by Appalachian State. So,
All right, you got
never know.
number 2 Alabama. I know it's Alabama, but number 2 Alabama going to number 20 Arkansas. 17-point spread. What do you think of that?
I'm gonna go Alabama on that one,
You
just
think?
because they took care of business last week against Vandy, putting Vandy back in their place. I know Vandy was kind of gaining some confidence after they beat Hawaii, and who else they beat? Someone
I don't remember.
Vanderbilt School of the Blind.
When's the last time a top 20 team though has been a 17-point underdog at home?
But you got to remember who's coming to town.
I know that. I'm not saying
I think
that.
Bama will win, but I think Arkansas will cover.
You think? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's not justified. I'm not saying it's not justified.
Hey, and here's the thing: you got Sam Pittman on that sideline,
right? I mean, they just lost. They're coming. I could definitely see them cover. I don't think that they'll win. I definitely could see them.
I'm not defending the spread at all. I'm not calling out the spread. 17 points, Alabama, Arkansas, whatever. But
Vandy's played.
Arkansas did push Alabama last year, though.
Yeah.
They did push them. I think it was 42-35.
I do not have that kind of memory.
I could see it being close in the first 2 quarters, but after that, I don't.
But here's the thing: you got Bryce Young back there as well. I mean, the guy's been absolutely stellar his first 4 weeks.
On the other side.
I know.
Will Anderson, bad boy.
But I think he has another stellar performance. I think that Alabama wins. I'm gonna go 42. I'm gonna go 42-24, and they cover. So.
And Arkansas, their only loss was at A&M last week, right?
Yes.
Think so.
I believe so, yes. All right, let's go back down. Let's get our predictions for Ole Miss, Kentucky. Obviously, Ole Miss, I think I just read it here correctly, 6.5. So, what are we thinking?
I think we cover. I mean, I really think I'm biased a little bit here.
Is this with the camo helmet?
It's with the camo helmet. I am. Okay. I'm obviously, I know I'm biased. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm not. But I think that we have enough momentum behind us. Chris is coming back. We can get the run game together. I think you're right. The offensive line is going to start gelling at some point. Why not when we can throw some more run?
It also helps when you got a quarterback who's had 300 plus yard passing games so far this year.
But then you bring back your best back. I mean,
you bring back your best back, but you have a red hot offense down there at Ole Miss. I mean, they came out hot last week, kind of stalled out there in the second half a little bit, but I think Lane Kiffin's going to have his boys ready to play. I mean, the last time we played each other, did we play each other the COVID year? I'm pretty sure it was because I don't think the last time we played each other was when DK Metcalf beat us.
Yeah, no.
Which was unreal, by the way.
I was about to say, did you play DK?
No, well, I didn't play in that game. That's when I was a human battering ram on special teams where I got most of my concussions. But, yes, I do remember that game. Actually, DK played in the I had no idea about this. I was looking through the cards the other day, and I had this card from the Army All-American game, and I was going through there, and there was Derek Brown, different players that I knew. Then I came across, and it had his full name, but I saw the last name, Metcalf, and I was like, holy shit, I'd be damned. But I think Kentucky goes down there. I think we win that game, to be quite honest with you. I think that, like you said, having Chris Rodriguez back, I think this guy has, a lot to prove. Been sitting out for a couple weeks. He's been, I guess there's a lot of pent-up aggression, a lot of pent-up things he wants to get out there on the field. And, knowing a guy like Chris, that's a place where he can go out there and shine the best is when, odds are stacked against him and people think that, he can't do something. But obviously there's a lot of people, anticipating for his return like we all are. Yeah. And I think finally I believe that Kentucky goes on there and we establish a run game, even though we may not be able to establish the running lanes as well as we did last year for him. He's still that guy that even when he falls forward, he's getting an extra 2-3 yards.
Yeah.
So
he's a tank. But I mean, we get past him.
You know why?
Because he's a dog. He's a dog. Go ahead.
I think the craziest stat I saw talking, obviously a lot of shows been talking about Chris coming back, but last year he had 0 runs for negative yardage.
That's wild.
I did not know
if that is a legitimate stat, that helps us tremendously in that.
Again, I know how ignorant I sound when I talk about football sometimes, but his legs don't stop churning.
No.
Like when he's going down, he is – I mean,
he's
going forward.
He's a run-through contact kind of player.
He's like that Nick Chubb. And
he's a monster.
Like 60% of his 1,300 and some yards last year came after contact.
Yeah.
Like, I mean –
I'm not a person – like I've been around enough athletes, with basketball and friends with football guys and everything. Like, I've been around enough guys that I'm not like usually like taken aback by somebody's physical strength or size. Wow. First time I met him, he's big.
He's a big.
He's big, but he's not like he's yoked for his size and just an absolute monster. So when he's got that momentum going forward, go ahead.
I think Chris coming back is obviously huge, but I think the way the defense played against Northern Illinois helps us more going into this week because they were getting padded on the back so much. I think it was a good reset for them. I think they're going to be way more locked in because they had went 6 quarters without allowing any score, and then kind of started the game off bad against Illinois, finished bad. I think it was a great way to go into a week that they need to be locked in and get people to stop hyping them
you're
up
right, you're right.
and this no-fly zone stuff. Like, get locked back in, go do the job that's in front of you. You have a chance to have a special season.
Get
here's
past
the thing.
this. We'll get past them. You got what? South Carolina and then
Mississippi State.
So we can go to Tennessee 7-0
After a bye week.
after a bye week. So
God, you know how lit that's going
I'm
to be
saying
if
so.
that happens?
I'm saying so. We
That's going to
if
be
that happens-
unreal
so
if that
we-
happens.
That's why I've got this isn't like we're like the first leg of like this is a big hill, and we get over this hill.
No, this hill starts the pathway to one of the most special seasons
Yeah,
in UK football.
100%.
history.
Because if we get this win, then that takes, like I told y'all, ESPN just came out with those rankings. They had Ole Miss ahead of us. If we beat Ole Miss, I mean, I
The
think
rankings for the top 20,
college football
top
playoff. If we were to have a
16
12-team
teams
playoff
to get
or
into the
16
playoffs,
teams,
yeah.
if it was
Yeah.
16 teams to get in,
And
the
they left
playoff,
Kentucky out.
Yeah, Kentucky's nowhere.
we don't
near.
ever get any respect,
They have like
especially from the
they have
ESPN
Oklahoma
clowns.
State. I noticed that we don't like any media or anything.
I'm telling you, I said it back when I was a player. Nobody wants us to win except for my man Paul Feinbaum.
Yeah.
Paul Feinbaum wants to see Kentucky win. That's the only motherfucker I
Kirk
know.
Street does.
Herb Street does. He did call into
Yeah,
Coach
he called-
Stoops' show.
Marty's a fan, but you're right.
Maybe.
You're right.
We'll get him on the show. We'll see what he says.
But overall,
But
Hey,
there's
let
not
us
many.
let us head to Knoxville 7-0. We'll get Marty on the show.
Let us head to 7-0 in Knoxville, and
God.
you'll be seeing me in an emergency room with a stomach pump.
I could get
Just
Steve
a little
Spurrier on the
foreshadowing for
show.
everybody out there.
I mean, I told you shouldn't have drank the bottle of William Tarr before we sat down to do this podcast today. It's 3:00 in the afternoon.
Hey, early bird gets the worm, dog.
Second mouse gets the cheese, though.
So you're you're calling yourself a rat.
You always do this, but
You're calling yourself a rat.
Back to the Kentucky
Someone
game. If
please
there
help
was
me with this
if there
guy.
was a power move Stoops could pull on this, it would be black uniforms and bust out the chrome helmets like you do once a year to combat
In Knoxville or
in Ole Miss
Yeah.
because they're running out. Like, don't tell anyone. Just wait till like run out of the tunnel there in the all black and the chrome helmets, and that would.
I would say like my favorite road combination, just if we're going by superstitions, is all white.
all white.
All white.
Like
all white
that?
helmet. No, so that's
all white with the chrome.
that's all white with the chrome. Now I think that combo got voted second best of the year in like
That's a great combo.
2021, 2020, something like that. But yeah, my favorite look of all time is all white.
Yeah.
I
with
mean,
the K, the old school K.
dude, I've been telling people this for years of how I would kill to bring back
Bring
the
back
power
the
con-
K,
And I talked to TK about it, who's our equipment manager there. I've expressed feelings to Coach Stoops, Mitch Barnhart, and every time I ask, it's something to do with Nike.
Yeah.
But
They'll switch something here in the next coming years with basketball taking away the checkerboard.
That's gone now. Yeah.
Well,
Football
that-
voted to keep it.
no, maybe they can beat a. You know,
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
They can maybe they can beat a 16th seed now.
God, I know that you're upset about the 11 kickoff time there, but I think that bodes well for us to get a win.
It does.
It's better. It is better for
If
for
in that
tailgating
sense,
purposes
yes.
and like all the people traveling down, it's
we. I
Yeah,
mean,
because all we think about is ourselves.
yeah,
yeah.
correct.
We had planned. Go ahead.
From a pure football standpoint, from Kentucky to win an 11 a.m. kickoff there is
You're probably right.
much better for us. It's not going to be near as rowdy if it was a 3:30 or 7 o'clock kickoff.
It's not going to be
true.
good for my liver
Well,
whether I'm there
it's
or not.
parents. It's
I'm
parents
just- that's
weekend
all-
down
I'm
there too.
selfishly
Oh, it's
concerned.
parents' weekend. We
Yeah.
gotta go.
So like
we gotta go.
my parents.
We gotta
I
go.
was supposed to go, but until my foot happened, my
I
parents
mean-
are going down for my
I
little
mean,
brothers.
could you
like,
imagine
I don't
an
want-
Ole Miss parents week? Todd, come on, an Ole Miss parents weekend, guys.
And they're doing
Am
all
I the
out.
only one sitting there thinking this?
They're going all out
You're
this
not the
weekend.
only one
They got
thinking this.
parents weekend. They got a stripe out. They got new
Homecoming.
New helmet.
It's like the
Almost too
perfect
much.
storm.
Oh no!
It's almost too much.
So could it be a distraction?
Almost
Could
too
it be a
much.
distraction for Ole Miss fans down there? We will see. Now let's move ahead and move in, and we'll finish this podcast up. Let's go ahead and move into.
I got it. Are you going into my topic?
No, we're going into NFL picks. And you
Okay,
into your
go ahead.
topic.
Okay, go ahead.
So we're going to go Week 4 NFL picks. We're starting off with the Dolphins 3-0 at the Bengals. Bengals open it up, 3.5-point favorites. What do we think
hammering
about
the
that?
Bengals with those all white uniforms.
You going to hammer it?
All white uniforms.
Let's see what the situation is with Tua.
I kind of want to go.
Yeah, I think a lot of it depends.
Is
on
it
Tua.
at? Is
Yeah.
it in
It's in
Cincinnati?
Cincinnati.
Oh,
We'll see if
Kind of want to go.
I could
we'll
get
see
us
if
handicap
Tua's
access.
back injury is
That's funny.
feeling good.
I could.
Okay, I'm going to take the Bengals in that one too. Let's go Vikings at the Saints. They got the Vikings opening up at -2.5. I'm going to take the Vikings in
I
that
would say
one.
I take the Vikings.
I'm going to take Justin Jefferson. I mean, he might have had an off
I
week
want
last
to take
week.
the
but
Vikings, but it's so everyone in the NFL. I mean, from surveys, everyone hates playing at Mercedes-Benz Superdome.
The game's in London.
What?
It's in
Oh
London.
yeah, we got our first international game this week. I forgot it's 9
9:30 in
a.m.
the
baby.
morning. It's 9:30 in the morning. It's in London.
Whoa.
We're gonna wake up still hammered and watch that game.
So,
Wait, so we're gonna get hammered at 11 a.m.
and then you got to.
and then we got to stay hammered through Sunday?
That's basically what we did last weekend.
Jeez, man. I don't have the patience for this anymore. Ask Zach why he doesn't drink anymore.
I need to stop drinking.
We'll talk
again.
about that next week.
Yeah.
We're getting a little long on the podcast. So we need to
All right,
save
now
that
we're gonna have
for
a couple more picks, and then we'll get into your
Yeah, we got to get my topic.
discussion
before we go.
topic
All
here.
right.
All right, let's go. Browns at Falcons. Browns -2.
Browns find a way to lose.
Yeah,
I
Falcons
think
win it.
Browns win.
Falcons, yeah.
I think they're the better team. They're going to find a way to lose. They got lucky last week. They have to drop the ball this week. That's how it works.
Here's my thing. I'm not going to make a
A
prediction. on that
pendulum
one 'cause
swings both. It goes
You're a
back
Browns
and
fan,
forth
though,
and back
so
and
you-
forth.
because
Because
just say Browns.
okay, but if I say the Browns are going to get their fucking brains beat out, like I know exactly how this goes every single time.
Real quick on the Browns, the logo on the field.
Oh, we
Yeah,
talked
we
about
talked
this
about
last
it
week.
Did you listen to?
Yeah.
But here's the thing: I did see where they decided to leave it up to the fans, but they didn't even give him an option for the dog.
No.
Didn't even give him an option.
don't even wanna talk about it
So I
anymore.
mean, like how? I mean, but there is no way that the majority of Browns fans, and yes, I'm gonna look right in the camera when I say this. There is no way that majority of Browns fans thought, "Hey, let's put an elf, a huge elf, at the 50-yard line." You know, we're already a laughing stock. You know, we've already, with all of our off-season, shenanigans and everything like that. Let's just put an elf right
Christmas
in the middle.
elf.
Exactly. Look what we do. What are we doing?
I mean, put a massage table there or something.
I mean, maybe. Oh, and that's why we have fully unscripted right there, baby. I love it. But back to his point, though. Back to his point. Something better than an elf.
Yeah.
Something better than an elf.
Anything
I
other
mean,
than an
I'll tell you why they didn't. I mean, they didn't let that dog happen because they know the fans of Cleveland and they know they'd be running. No, not that, but what they would make it into with now how mascots have to be general neutral and everything, and that's literally all it is.
Wait, but a dog or an elf?
But like,
just to clarify,
Just to clarify, you're
you're
arguing,
picking an elf.
You're arguing.
no,
for-
I'm not. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Like, I'm just bringing it up while he's like, they didn't give him an option about a dog.
Do elves have gender?
But that's the thing. They can't.
I'm sure they do.
You can't definitively tell, really.
I'm
So
sure
it's
they
like-
do.
That's right. That's right.
Oh.
We got to ask the elf.
Well,
All right.
Okay, let's go ahead and wrap that up. We got our NFL picks. We had our college football picks. We had a great interview with Devlin Hodges. Now, Todd, take
Hang
us
on.
into your
Chiefs Bucks. Chiefs Bucks.
Chiefs Bucks
Give me
at,
Chiefs.
at Tampa.
At Tampa.
So there's a little bit of if people saw there was a little bit of
Wait a minute. Was that? No. Okay.
So it's either Tom Brady taking 2 losses in a row or Patrick Mahomes. taking
well,
2
Mike Evans
losses
is
in a
back.
row.
He only got suspended one game. Don't know yet. The
Julio Jones is maybe.
Julio. What about Chris Godwin?
I don't know.
Julio Jones got hurt in week 1 too, right?
Yeah, but his is only. He just has like a pulled hamstring or something. They said it's like 2-3 weeks, so he should be back this week.
Okay, I'm going to take. I'll take the Bucks on that. I think Tom Brady's going to have a come to Jesus meeting with everybody and be like, "Hey, listen,
Yeah,
I'm 45 years old.
and they just brought in.
Let me tell you something. I'm 45 years old. I may be getting fucking divorced because of this.
I'm not living with my wife right now.
You see this Botox? Do you see this? The pain that I go through to come in here and make sure that I could throw a 5-yard out route to you guys.
Brandon's having to turn you down because you're so hyped right
You guys
now.
think that this is fun for me? I have a supermodel wife that's about to leave me because of this.
And my kids don't talk to me.
My kids hate me. You guys are my children. Wake up. Let's go play. I'm pretty sure that's
All
what
right.
Tom
Speaking,
Brady's
all
gonna say.
right. Speaking of kids that hate, do you have something else?
It was so bad they had to bring Michael Beasley back
That's
from
true.
the Bills.
Okay. Speaking of kids that hate you, final topic of the day. We got to be quick about this because we're going on like damn near 2 hours. Game of Thrones reactions.
I'm out on this. I don't watch it.
I know.
Man. Well, like I said, I had to turn off the punt fest last night halfway through the second quarter because I was like, you know what? This is probably going to be a lot more entertaining than this game. So I turned it on, and I was not disappointed.
A lot going on right now. Did you watch?
Yes.
A lot going on right now. I'm not a fan of the actress changes with Rhaenyra. I'm not a fan of that.
Do you think they could have done some CGI things to make them look
I don't
older?
think they look old enough to be replaced.
Something came out about the way she looks
Mm-hmm.
because I think obviously the beauty I think is a little little different. They said that was the point, is they wanted to get an actress in, was age that she doesn't age with beauty because of all the stuff that she's going through.
Sure.
But Sir Kristen Cole is like he's just 25 years old again, just hanging out. Is that guy not age?
How about that guy carrying a grudge?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Also,
yeah.
what about the Queen bringing her as the Kingsguard now?
That's what I'm saying.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, bro. I was telling Todd, Queen better watch her ass before she gets whacked. If this was Italian,
She said, what she say? She said, what she say to the king? You can make your own decisions when I'm cold in the grave.
Yeah. Well, she's changed a lot in 10 years.
Good Lord. So is he. Lost an arm.
Yeah.
What is it?
Well,
Is
God,
it
his head looking
grayscale?
like Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
Is it
is.
grayscale?
Right.
he is. He looks like he needs a
grayscale,
hair
right?
implant bad.
Tough.
I'm saying it's grayscale. What he's sick with. It's
Oh, it
grayscale.
looks
It's got to
like
be
it,
grayscale.
yeah.
No, he's got leprosy. That's what they said.
But that's like their grayscale is their leprosy.
Oh,
Remember?
see, I'm not a fucking doctor, Todd. Oh, God. But
You're right. I'm
I
a
think that the next couple episodes going to be fire. Obviously, the Queen hooked up with that one that didn't hook up with him. Came and said, "Hey, I got a problem. Need you to help." She didn't expect
That dude's Littlefinger. He's the new Littlefinger.
He is.
Worse than Littlefinger.
He's
That-
the new
he-
Littlefinger. He killed his dad and his brother.
Yeah,
She didn't. He just. I'm about to say she didn't expect him to go and burn down a castle and lock the dudes inside.
No,
But
and then how he just was so
calm.
like,
Yeah.
just calm,
Calm,
smell
cool,
flowers and
collected.
shit.
Look, those
Like,
two are a bad combo. That guy went and killed his dad and his brother because he knew that it would make the Queen call her dad back to be the new hand. He's like, well, I guess the job's open. You might as well call your dad. And she like, that's not what I meant to happen. Yeah, you did. I mean, you might not have thought he was going to do that.
Right.
But you knew
But
what
you
you
knew
knew what
what
you
you
were
were
saying.
She's been
You knew your
plotting.
cards you were
She's
playing.
been plotting for 10+ years on how to get
Those
rid
are
of
a
this shit.
dangerous. Those two are a dangerous
well,
combo.
He's wild. He was way too calm after that.
Yeah.
Like that, and your brother.
Who knows?
This is
Gonna be a
Not even
wild
you're
ride.
that heartless.
Nope, not anymore.
Going to be a wild ride, but we appreciate every single one of you guys turning into the worst podcast you probably ever listened to in your life. This has been Fully Unscripted Episode 2. I'm Cash Daniel, Todd Lanner, Zach, Parker. We'll see you next time.